Chapter 45:10. On the 10th floor of the elven ancestral land, in front of a withered tree, a beautiful figure stood quietly. This figure was the elf princess Ling Yue, and this big tree was the Holy Seed Mother Tree. Back then, Lu Ming had obtained 2 Holy Seed seeds here. Later on, Ling Yue even used the Holy Seed Mother Tree to complete her bloodline evolution. However, the Holy Seed Mother Tree also withered because of this. However, after so many years, some parts of the withered Holy Seed Mother Tree had sprouted new shoots. Around the Holy Seed Mother Tree, there were also some young elves. They looked at Ling Yue, but did not disturb her. Ling Yue looked at the Holy Seed Mother Tree in a daze. The scenes of her adventuring in the elven ancestral land with Lu Ming all those years ago reappeared in her mind. Lu Ming, it's all because of you. It's all because you lied to me. It's all because you pretended to be Mu Yun that my elven clan suffered such a calamity. You caused royal father to be killed and aunt. As she thought about it, Ling Yue's tears continued to flow as her delicate body began to tremble slightly. After a long while she finally calmed down. However, I know you didn't mean it, but you should have told me earlier. You shouldn't have lied to me. Sigh, why am I thinking so much? Perhaps, the people from the heavenly palace will come in very soon. We will never have the chance to meet again. Ling Yue sighed in her heart. At this moment, Yue, a soft call sounded in Ling Yue's ears. His voice was clear, deep, and magnetic. Upon hearing this voice, Ling Yue's delicate body suddenly trembled. She was too familiar with this voice. It was haunting her dreams, and she would never forget it for the rest of her life. This was Lu Ming's voice. However, how could Lu Ming come here? Even if Lu Ming knew that she was here, the outside of the ancestral land was already surrounded by the heavenly palace. How did Lu Ming get in? Illusion. It must be an illusion. Ling Yue, oh Ling Yue, the elves were exterminated mostly because of Lu Ming. Why am I so disappointing? I'm still thinking about him, he should be your enemy. Ling Yue shook her head with all her might, thinking that she was hallucinating. But at this time, the other elves shouted. Who? How did you get in? Mu Yun no Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you still dare to come here? Hearing these shouts, Yue's heart was trembling. She couldn't help but turn her head. Then, she saw a young Yue. Her heart couldn't help but beat faster. At the same time, anger, hatred, longing, and other emotions intertwined, causing Ling Yue to be a little dazed for a moment. Yue's Yun's sect. Lu Ming opened his mouth and walked towards Ling Yue. He didn't find any traces of Ling Yue and the others on the first 9 floors, so he went to the 10th floor to search. Sure enough, he found that Ling Yue and the others were on the 10th floor. With his cultivation, the elves did not discover any traces of him when he appeared above Ling Yue and the others. It was only when he opened his mouth that the elves discovered him. Lu Ming, stop. You are not allowed to approach the princess. It's all because of you that our elf clan was attacked by the heavenly palace and ended up in this state. You still dare to come here, you're courting death. Brothers and sisters, let's attack together and kill this person. We'll avenge his majesty and our countless fellow elves. The other elves were incomparably furious, treating Lu Ming as a great enemy. One by one, they condensed their battle bows, knocked their arrows and shot them out. In an instant, hundreds of arrows shot towards Lu Ming. These were all geniuses of the elf clan. Some of them had entered the supreme immortal city, and were very strong. They had reached the Divine Lord realm, but there were only a few of them. Most of them were still at the Divine Lord realm. In Lu Ming's eyes, this kind of cultivation was naturally not enough. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed at the air. Suddenly, the sky was filled with claw shadows. When the claw shadows disappeared, the hundreds of arrows were all in Lu Ming's hand. With a strong squeeze, the hundreds of arrows exploded with a bang, turning into energy and disappearing. You didn't kill the people of the heavenly palace, but came to deal with me. Is this your ability? Lu Ming said coldly. We naturally have to kill the people of the heavenly palace, but you have to kill them too. That's right. It was you who pretended to be Mu Yun and got involved with us. That's why you were hated by the heavenly palace. The elf clan's genius roared. Lu Ming was speechless. The people of the elf clan were right. The elf clan was indeed implicated by him. He could not refute this point. Princess, attack! Kill him! Yes, avenge his majesty! The elf clan's genius shouted. Ling Yue's delicate body trembled, and her eyes revealed a look of struggle. But in the end, she shouted loudly and activated her origin secret technique. A large bow condensed, and a powerful force poured into it, condensing into an arrow and aiming at Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and faced Ling Yue. He didn't say a word and just stared at her in a daze. Lu Ming, what are you doing here? Ling Yue asked. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and the look in her eyes became even more complicated. I'm here to take you out and to a safe place, Lu Ming said. Nonsense, the ancestral land is now surrounded by the heavenly palace. How can you take us out? That's complete nonsense. Princess, hurry up and do something. Hurry up and do something. That's right. I suspect that he has already joined the heavenly palace. Otherwise, how did he enter the ancestral land when it was surrounded by the heavenly palace? These words shook the hearts of all the elves present. Indeed, the entrance of the ancestral land was now surrounded by the heavenly palace. The heavenly palace was filled with experts. How did Lu Ming get in? Moreover, he seemed to be safe and sound. This was not normal. Could it be that Lu Ming had really joined the heavenly palace? The more everyone thought about it, the more likely it was. This must be a scheme of the heavenly palace. He wants to trick us out. Yes, the ancestral land has layers of restrictions set by the elf clan's ancestors. Even the divine master realm experts can't enter. The people of the heavenly palace can't enter, so he wants to trick us out. We can't be fooled. This person has wild ambitions. Not only did he cause the destruction of our elf clan, he also wants to eliminate the roots. Princess, attack! We can't be soft-hearted. If we don't kill this person, our elf clan will really be exterminated. Some of the elves roared. Originally, there were still elves who believed in Lu Ming. After all, Lu Ming had brought out the seed of the holy tree for the elf clan back then. However, at this moment, when the other elves said this, they felt that it was very reasonable and their hearts were burning with anger. Among them was Ling Yue. Lu Ming, I want to avenge my royal father. Ling Yue let out a loud shout and loosened the bowstring in her hand. An arrow flew through the air and shot towards Lu Ming's chest. Lu Ming stood there motionless. He had no intention of dodging at all. The speed of the arrow was too fast. In an instant it was close to Lu Ming. Seeing that the arrow was about to hit Lu Ming, Ling Yue couldn't help but panic. She shouted, Lu Ming, get out of the way. Chapter 45:11. Ling Yue shouted for Lu Ming to dodge. At the same time, she stretched out her hand to grab the arrow. However, it was already too late. The speed of the arrow was too fast, and there was no return. How could Ling Yue catch it just because she wanted to? The arrow hit Lu Ming's chest, pierced through Lu Ming's heart, and came out from his back. Lu Ming was forced back a few steps by the powerful force of the arrow. Ling Yue was stunned. The other elves were also stunned. No one expected that this arrow would hit the target just like that. Lu Ming, why didn't you dodge? Ling Yue said with a trembling voice. Based on her understanding of Lu Ming would definitely be able to dodge that arrow. However, Lu Ming clearly had no intention of dodging just now, and deliberately allowed the arrow to hit him. I deserve this arrow. You're right, I've implicated the elf race, Yi Zichen said. Lu Ming sighed and continued. Moreover, as long as you're happy, so what if you're shot 10 or 100 arrows? Lu Ming. Ling Yue's voice trembled, and her eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Originally, she thought that she would hate Lu Ming, but when she really saw Lu Ming, she realized that she didn't hate Lu Ming at all. Yue, come with me. The elves can't be destroyed yet. With you here, the elves still have hope of rising. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, you really didn't join the heavenly palace? Ling Yue said. Silly girl, of course not. I have a taboo body and am born to be a mortal enemy of the heavenly palace. How could I join the heavenly palace? Lu Ming raised his voice so that everyone could hear him. Then how did you get in? An elven genius asked loudly. You want to know? Then I'll show you. Lu Ming looked at the elf tribe prodigies. His appearance and aura changed rapidly. In the next moment, Lu Ming turned into Ling Yue. Yes, Lu Ming directly used the great imitation technique to transform into Ling Yue's appearance. Even the aura of her life source was exactly the same. Everyone was stunned, including Ling Yue. It wasn't difficult to change one's appearance. In fact, it was very easy. Everyone present found it difficult to do so. However, even the aura of his life source was exactly the same as Ling Yue's. How was this possible? It was simply unbelievable. Everyone's gazes moved back and forth between Ling Yue and Lu Ming, completely unable to tell if they were real or fake. Then Lu Ming's appearance and aura changed, and he turned into another elven genius. Whether it was his appearance or the aura of the origin of life, he was exactly the same as that elven genius. After that, Lu Ming turned into a youth from the angel race, and his life source aura also became that of the angel race. If they didn't know Lu Ming's true identity beforehand, everyone would have thought that Lu Ming was an angel. In the end, Lu Ming returned to his original appearance. This secret technique is one of the top 3 secret techniques of the 3,000 ancient secret techniques. It's called the Great Imitation Technique. With this secret technique, what's so difficult about entering? Lu Ming said. The elves all fell silent, agreeing with Lu Ming's words in their hearts. Yes, with such a wonderful technique, Lu Ming could completely transform into the celestial race, angel race, and so on, and openly enter. Moreover, the taboo body and the heavenly palace were indeed mortal enemies. This was publicly acknowledged in the universe, so how could Lu Ming rely on the heavenly palace? Previously, they only thought that way because they saw that Lu Ming was angry. Now that they had calmed down, they knew that Lu Ming didn't mean them any harm. Perhaps he really did come here to save them. However, Lu Ming could change his appearance and life source aura, but the others couldn't. How could Lu Ming take them out? Moreover, the elves were indeed implicated by Lu Ming. It was almost impossible for them to dispel their grudge against Lu Ming so quickly. I know you blame me and want to kill me. Fine, if you want to kill me in the future, I'll welcome you at any time as long as you have the ability. But don't forget one thing. Now there are not many elves left. If you don't come with me and die in the hands of the heavenly palace, then the elves will really be wiped out. You are the last hope of the elves, understand? Lu Ming said loudly. To be honest, he really didn't take these elves seriously. Even if they wanted to take revenge on him in the future, what was he afraid of? At his current level, his vision were already very high. His current opponents were the heavenly palace, those in the origin realm. Even if these elves wanted to take revenge on him in the future, they couldn't touch a single hair on his body. Of course, if others wanted to take revenge on him every day, even if they were weak, Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to save them. However, he felt somewhat guilty towards the elves. The other reason was for Ling Yue's sake. Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, there was a commotion among the elves. Yes, even if they didn't fear death, they still had to consider the continuation and inheritance of the elves. If they were all killed by the heavenly palace, then the elves would really be finished. How could they face the elves who died in battle? How could they face the elf emperor Ling Huashua and the others? Even if we believe you, how can you take us out? Finally, a young prodigy said, I have a treasure that has formed a world of its own. You can enter it, and I can transform into a heavenly human and leave here easily. Lu Ming said, there's actually a treasure that can form a world of its own. The sky prides of the elf tribe were all shocked and envious. Treasures that could form a world of their own were not rare in a small world. They were very easy to see. In a small world, whether it was the laws of the world or the space, they were all imperfect and unstable. Therefore, it was very easy to cultivate a treasure that could form a world of its own. It could even evolve its own world. However, this kind of treasure would be merged by the primitive universe as soon as it came to the primitive universe because it was too low level. In the primitive universe, it was too difficult to refine a treasure that could form a world. It was extremely difficult, and could be said to be very rare. Not to mention other things, after Lu Ming came to the primitive universe, other than the primitive ring, he hadn't seen any other treasure that could form a world of its own. Hurry up and go in. If we wait for the heavenly palace's celestial venerables to come, we won't be able to leave even if we want to, Lu Ming said. With a wave of his hand, a huge vortex appeared in the sky. Those from the heavenly human race looked at each other, not knowing what to do for a moment. Let's go with Lu Ming. We have to live. At this moment, Ling Yue spoke. Let's go. Ling Yue's words finally made the elven prodigies make up their minds and rush towards the black hole. In the blink of an eye, all the elven prodigies entered the primitive ring. Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. She also raised her feet and walked towards the entrance of the primitive ring. Yue, wait a moment. Lu Ming called out. Ling Yue's delicate body trembled slightly as she stopped. Chapter 45:12. Bang! Lu Ming channeled his taboo energy and shattered the arrow in his chest. His wound was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. After his cultivation reached the Divine Master realm, his taboo energy skyrocketed. His physique became even more terrifying, and his vitality became even stronger. A little injury was nothing, but it could quickly recover. Lu Ming stepped out and walked towards Ling Yue. When he arrived in front of Ling Yue, the injury on his chest had already healed. Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. She was nervous and expectant, but when she thought about how Lu Ming had implicated the elves, she felt hatred. She didn't know how she should face Lu Ming. Lu Ming walked in front of Ling Yue and looked at her in the eye. Ling Yue's heart couldn't help but beat faster, and her gaze became evasive. Yue, I'm sorry, Lu Ming said gently. This I'm sorry caused Ling Yue's delicate body to tremble. She stared blankly at Lu Ming, and then, tears rolled down like raindrops. There were too many things in her heart. She had always pretended to be strong, but Lu Ming's apology seemed to have broken through Ling Yue's defenses. The emotions in her heart were like a flood that had broken through a dam, exploding in an instant. Grievance, sadness, desolation, loneliness, longing, regret, and a series of other emotions exploded, causing her delicate body to tremble uncontrollably. Tears rolled down her cheeks like pearls. At this moment, she was like a fallen leaf dancing in the wind, lonely and weak, making one feel tender affection for her. Lu Ming walked over and pulled Ling Yue into his embrace. Ling Yue's body stiffened for a moment, and then her arms tightly hugged Lu Ming. Wu, Lu Ming, royal father is dead, and the elders are all dead. I have nothing left, I have nothing left, I have nothing left, Wu. Ling Yue could no longer hold it in, and burst into tears. At this moment, Ling Yue was no longer the famous elf princess. She was just a little girl who had lost her family, sad and helpless. Lu Ming felt a stabbing pain in his heart. No, you don't have nothing. You still have me, Lu Ming whispered. His voice was filled with warmth, love, and guilt. Yes, although she had feelings for Ling Yue, she felt even more guilty. It was different from the feelings she had for Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. He and Xian Yanqing had gone through a lot together, from the time they met and got to know each other, from the time they started fighting, to the time they fell in love with each other. Their hearts were tightly stuck together. He was different from Mid-Autumn Moon. The two of them grew up together, and were childhood sweethearts. Their feelings for each other were mixed with kinship. Towards Ling Yue, within his feelings, there was more guilt. Woo woo. Ling Yue cried even more sadly as she hugged Lu Ming tightly, unwilling to let go. Lu Ming also hugged Ling Yue, and did not continue speaking. She knew that Ling Yue needed to vent, and after venting, she would feel better. After a long while, Ling Yue's emotions gradually calmed down. Her face was slightly red, and her beauty was indescribable. Lu Ming's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. He couldn't help but lower his head and imprint it on Ling Yue's lips. Ling Yue's delicate body stiffened for a moment before she allowed Lu Ming to do as he pleased. After a long while, it was pure. Yue, don't worry. Sooner or later, I will kill my way to the heavenly palace, destroy the celestial race, and avenge the elven race. Lu Ming swore. I believe you. Ling Yue nodded slightly. At this moment, the knot in her heart had been untied, and she no longer had any hatred towards Lu Ming. She knew that what Lu Ming had done back then was also an unintentional act. Her true enemy was the heavenly palace, the celestial race. Lu Ming, Why are you here? At this moment, a loud shout rang out. His voice was filled with disbelief. Yichu Tianji. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he turned around to look. Then he saw Yichu Tianji flying over with a group of experts. Yichu Tianji had come faster than he had imagined. However, Lu Ming was not surprised. Yichu Tianji controlled 3 types of supreme heavenly powers, and was incomparably powerful. Just like Lu Ming, he was not afraid of the suppressive force here in the slightest. Furthermore, with his current cultivation, it wouldn't be difficult for him to defeat those evil spirits. Why can't I be here? Lu Ming said indifferently, the corner of his mouth curling up into a sneer. Good, very good, really very good. I was going to look for you, but I didn't expect you to be here. Then it's time for us to settle the score. Yichu Tianji's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. In the battle for the origin seed in the Taishang Immortal City, he had been suppressed by Lu Ming, and was even killed by Lu Ming in front of everyone. If it wasn't for the fact that he could revive there, he would have been dead. He hated Lu Ming to the bone, and wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. After leaving the Taishang Immortal City, he went into seclusion and tried his best to break through. Finally, he broke through the profound martial realm, and reached the Divine Master Realm. After reaching the Divine Master Realm, he was in high spirits. He had planned to find Lu Ming and kill Lu Ming to vent the hatred in his heart. He didn't expect to meet Lu Ming here. It was really a case of searching high and low for something, only to find it by chance. Even the heavens were helping him to take revenge. You can't revive here. Aren't you afraid of death? Lu Ming said indifferently. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, I'll show you my current strength. Boom. An incomparably shocking aura erupted from Yichu Tianji's body. This was the aura of the Divine Master Realm. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it pressed down on Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Divine Master Realm, not good, Lu Ming, run. Ling Yue's expression changed drastically. She didn't expect that Yichu Tianji had already broken through to the Divine Master Realm. It had only been a few years since the battle for the origin seed in the Taishang Immortal City. A few years was too short. To them, it was just a blink of an eye. Yichu Tianji had actually broken through. This kind of talent was indeed terrifying. Go, you want to leave now? It's too late. Lu Ming kneeled down. Yichu Tianji shouted as his figure burst out. From above, he pressed down on Lu Ming with his palm. He didn't want to kill Lu Ming so easily. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming, cripple Lu Ming's cultivation, and torture Lu Ming. Otherwise, how could he vent the resentment in his heart? Lu Ming, be careful. Ling Yue was shocked. She wanted to pull Lu Ming back, but she discovered that Lu Ming's body seemed to have taken root, and did not move at all. Yue, watch me. Lu Ming's gentle voice rang out. Following that, Lu Ming punched out. When he punched out, the taboo energy in his body was completely mobilized and surged out along his fist. Boom. The fist and Yichu Tianji's palm collided, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Amidst the overflowing strength qi, Yichu Tianji's body explosively retreated several hundred miles. When he landed on the ground, he continued to retreat. The ground he stepped on rumbled and exploded, leaving behind a large crater. His body trembled as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and his eyes were wide open as he stared at Lu Ming as if he had seen a ghost. Chapter 45:13. Your cultivation, Divine Master, Divine Master. How did you reach the Divine Master Realm? Yichu Tianji roared, his words incoherent, his voice full of disbelief. It had only been a few years, and Lu Ming had broken through to the Divine Master Realm? The reason he could break through to the Divine Master Realm was because he had already accumulated enough when he was in the Taishang Immortal City. After returning to the Heavenly Palace, he had spent a huge amount of resources to break through to the Divine Master Realm in a few years. However, when Lu Ming was in the Taishang Immortal City, he had only just reached the 9th level of the Divine Lord Realm. There was still a long way to go before he could reach the peak of the 9th level of the Divine Lord Realm. He needed a long time to consolidate his foundation before he could break through to the Divine Lord Realm. But now Lu Ming was already a Divine Master. This made him feel incredulous. They were both at the 1st level of the Divine Master Realm, but he was no match for Lu Ming, just like in the battle for the origin seed. Ling Yue was also in a daze. Obviously, she did not expect Lu Ming's cultivation to have reached the almighty level. Let's go. Yechu Tianji was very decisive. When he found out that Lu Ming had reached the Divine Master realm, he knew that he was no match for Lu Ming, so he turned around and ran. Yechu Tianji, didn't you want to kill me? Why are you running so fast now? Lu Ming sneered. His body turned into a ray of light, and in a flash he approached Yechu Tianji. I'll fight it out with you. Yechu Tianji roared, and suddenly turned around. 3 kinds of heaven power exploded, and blasted toward Lu Ming. Battle character art. 8 times fighting strength. Lu Ming's heart moved, and the battle character art successfully activated 8 times fighting strength, and he punched out. The space kept exploding, and the violent fist energy crushed out, once again colliding with Yechu Tianji's attack. Boom. Boom. After a few explosions, Yechu Tianji's body flew out like a cannonball, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. Cracks appeared on the bones of his arms, and they almost exploded. Dozens of other bones in his body were broken. Damn it, his combat strength! Yechu Tianji was incomparably terrified. He realized that Lu Ming was even more terrifying now. In a battle of the same level, he was even less of a match for Lu Ming. He was completely crushed. If they were in the highest immortal city, they might still be able to put up a fight. But now there was no way they could put up a fight at all. Little did he know that Lu Ming's battle seal was still at the 7-fold stage when they were at the Grand Supreme Immortal City. Now Lu Ming's battle character secret art had already multiplied his battle prowess by 8 times. In a battle of the same level, his battle prowess was naturally much stronger. Hurry up and leave. Send a message to His Excellency the Lord of Heaven. Tell him that Lu Ming has become a divine master, and that he's in the elves' ancestral land. Tell them to invite the celestial venerables. Yechu Tianji roared at the others as he retreated. The other geniuses from the heavenly palace also fled in all directions. This was Yechu Tianji's strategy of creating a diversion. He asked the other geniuses to spread the news as they fled. He wanted to distract Lu Ming so that Lu Ming would chase after these people. Once the news about Lu Ming spread, the heavenly palace would definitely hunt him down. If he were Lu Ming, he would definitely divert his attention to chase after the others. In that case, he would have a chance to escape. Actually, he was right. Lu Ming indeed didn't want these people to spread the news about him. He was now a thorn in the side of the heavenly human tribe. Once the heavenly human tribe knew about this, they would definitely send celestial venerables to kill him. In order to kill him, the heavenly human tribe would definitely be willing to send celestial venerables. But there was one thing that Yechu Tianji guessed wrong. Lu Ming didn't need to be too distracted to kill these people. Chaos style. Lu Ming shouted as his hands quickly formed seals. His body glowed as tens of thousands of secret techniques intertwined to form a continent. The continent was incredibly huge. With the support of the taboo energy, it continued to expand outwards. It almost covered a small portion of the 10th floor space. The continent formed by the chaos style could be big or small. It was completely up to Lu Ming's will. If Lu Ming wanted, he could even make it 10 times bigger. But in that case, the power would be too scattered and the power would not be strong. The smaller the area, the more powerful it would be. However, Lu Ming didn't need too much power now. Because among the geniuses from the heavenly palace, except for Yechu Tianji, the others were not worth mentioning in front of Lu Ming. They were all characters that Lu Ming could kill with a flick of his finger. Rumble. The continent formed by the chaos style pressed down, causing heaven and earth to tremble. It enveloped all the geniuses from the heavenly palace. Ah! Attack! Attack! Stop him! The geniuses from the heavenly palace roared. These people were all personal disciples of the big shots from the heavenly palace. They were all from different races. At this moment, they all transformed into their true forms and unleashed their strongest battle prowess, using their most powerful moves to attack the Your-Wild's continent. Dozens of light pillars shot up into the sky and bombarded the chaos style. But it was useless. The moment they came into contact with the chaos style, the attacks collapsed. Boom. The huge continent smashed into the ground, trying to flatten everything. Bam. 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 The bodies of the geniuses from the heavenly palace kept exploding as they died. In the end, only Yechu Tianji was still alive. But he was also sent flying, drawing a ditch a few hundred miles in the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with shock. Lu Ming was too strong. This move was even more terrifying. He almost thought that he was going to be killed. Swoosh. Yechu Tianji reacted quickly. He slapped the ground and rushed out, continuing to escape into the distance. Yechu Tianji, since you're here today, don't think about leaving, Lu Ming said coldly. His body flashed a few times and caught up with Yechu Tianji. At the same time, another continent appeared above Yechu Tianji's head. It was still the chaos style. But now Lu Ming had shrunk the size of the continent by a lot. The mountains and rivers of the continent could be vaguely seen. And its power was also much stronger. This time, the target was only Yechu Tianji. The continent's power was at its strongest with the size of the continent. Lu Ming wanted to kill Yechu Tianji once and for all. He did not want to waste any more time. Rumble. As the continent pressed down, heaven and earth trembled. The power was incomparably terrifying. Yechu Tianji's face was very serious. "Ah, Lu Ming, you can't kill me. You can't kill me. Come out, heavenly wolf armor." Yechu Tianji roared. The power of the heavens burned and exploded wildly. A battle armor appeared on the surface of his body. This battle armor emitted a terrifying aura. It was vast and unfathomable. Source-level divine weapon. Lu Ming's face changed slightly. He could tell at a glance that the battle armor that appeared on Yechu Tianji's body was a source-level divine weapon. He wanted to use this source-level divine weapon to block Lu Ming's attack. But there were many restrictions in the ancestral land of the elves. Divine weapons could not be used. Chapter 45:14. Yechu Tianji wanted to summon his source-level armor to block Lu Ming's attack. However, there were many restrictions in the elven ancestral land that prevented the use of weapons. Yechu Tianji desperately burned the power of the heavens to activate the source-level armor. However, in the next moment, a powerful force of restriction pressed down on Yechu Tianji's body. The source-level armor on his body trembled and its light dimmed. It shrank and returned to Yechu Tianji's body. Damn it! Yechu Tianji roared in his heart. However, Lu Ming's attack was about to reach him. "Lu Ming, I'll fight you to the death." Yechu Tianji roared, revealing a pained expression. Then he roared and activated the source seed. He activated the origin source seed and had it rush into the source-grade divine armament battle armor. Buzz. The source-level armor vibrated again and emitted a dazzling light. It appeared again and enveloped Yechu Tianji. Boom. The continent formed by the chaos style bombarded Yechu Tianji's body. Yechu Tianji's body flew out like a cannonball and smashed into the ground, creating a large crater. However, this time, Yechu Tianji immediately rushed out of the crater. His face was pale and blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. However, his injuries were not serious. They were only light injuries. Most of the power of Lu Ming's attack had been absorbed by the source-level armor. He actually burned his source seed. He's really willing to. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There were many restrictions here. Under normal circumstances, it would be difficult to activate the source-level armor. However, it was different if the source seed was burned. The source-level armor required the source energy to activate. The source energy was like a fuse that could ignite the power of the source-level armor. However, Yechu Tianji had only obtained the 3rd rank in the battle for the source seed. The source seed he had condensed was not big and did not contain much source energy. It could not be used to deal with or activate the source-level armor. Therefore, Yechu Tianji decided to burn his entire source seed to activate the source-grade battle armor. Only then would he be able to activate the source-grade battle armor. However, after the origin seed was burned, it would completely disappear. The origin energy seed was a shortcut to reciprocity. Now that it had been burned by Yechu Tianji, he felt extremely pained. His hatred for Lu Ming increased by several dozen times. "Lu Ming, you damned bastard. Just you wait. Just you wait for my crazy revenge. I will make you suffer a fate worse than death." Yechu Tianji's face was incomparably ferocious, filled with terrifying killing intent. He truly hated Lu Ming. He swore that in the future, he would definitely make Lu Ming suffer the greatest pain in the world. Boom. Lu Ming could not be bothered to pay attention to him. He used the desolation form again, slamming Yechu Tianji into the ground. However, Yechu Tianji charged out again, and fled into the distance. As he fled he roared, "Lu Ming, I have the source-level armor protecting me. You can't kill me. Ha ha ha, you can't kill me. Just you wait for my revenge, ha ha ha." Yechu Tianji laughed madly. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He said nothing. He secretly activated the source energy within the source energy, and poured it into the war god's spear. Clang. As the source energy entered his body, the war god's spear seemed to awaken. It broke through the layers of restrictions and appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Swish. Lu Ming stabbed out, striking Yechu Tianji. However, Yechu Tianji's entire body was covered by the source-level armor. The spear only pierced the armor. The collision of the two weapons was extremely ear-piercing. This time, Yechu Tianji's body was sent flying tens of thousands of miles away. He coughed out mouthfuls of blood, and there was a trace of fear in his eyes. This was because he discovered that a large part of the source-level armor had caved in. It was damaged. This was a source-level armor, but it was damaged. This was too terrifying. He originally thought that with the protection of the source-level armor, he could rest easy and escape from the elf race's ancestral land. But now, it seemed that this was not necessarily the case. Swish. Lu Ming's attacks did not stop. After the first stab, the second stab immediately followed. Yechu Tianji was shocked. He frantically retreated and flashed his body, trying to avoid Lu Ming's attack. However, he was overthinking. Lu Ming's speed was clearly far above his. In the end, Lu Ming's second spear hit Yechu Tianji. Moreover, it hit the same spot as the first spear. Yechu Tianji screamed as his body was sent flying tens of thousands of miles. When he looked down, he was scared out of his wits. That was because the dent on the soul-grade divine weapon battle armor had gotten even bigger. He could even see a small crack on it. Although it was very small, it was really a crack. The source-level armor was about to be pierced through. Yechu Tianji's heart was trembling. It was caused by fear. He knew that Lu Ming's source-level armor was of a higher level than his. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. Send a message, send a message. Yechu Tianji suddenly activated the illusory sacred jade and sent a message inside. Lu Ming is. Yechu Tianji shouted at the illusory sacred jade with his soul. However, just as he shouted a few words, Lu Ming's third stab arrived. This time, it hit the same spot as the previous two. Crack. The source-grade armor on Yi Shidianji's body made a cracking sound as cracks appeared on it. There was even a small hole in the center of the crater. The hole was very small, but a wisp of spear light still rushed in and stabbed Yechu Tianji. Yechu Tianji screamed as a large hole appeared in his body. However, Yechu Tianji was only severely injured. He wasn't dead yet. His eyes were filled with determination. He continued to shout, "Lu Ming is in the elf race's ancestral land. Avenge me." After shouting with his soul, Yechu Tianji laughed. "Lu Ming, I've already sent a message. Even if you kill me, you will die. You can't escape. Ha ha." Damn it. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. He had attacked continuously, but Yechu Tianji's source-level armor was too hard. Even with the sharpness of the battle god spear, it couldn't be pierced with one or two stab attacks. This gave Yechu Tianji a chance to send a message. It took some time to send a message using the illusory sacred jade, but this time was very short. A slight delay, and the message would spread. Now that the heavenly human race outside knew that he was inside, it wouldn't be so easy for him to escape. "I'll send you on your way first," Lu Ming said coldly. He became one with his spear and turned into a dazzling spear light that pierced toward Yechu Tianji. Yechu Tianji naturally didn't want to be killed. He tried his best to dodge, but it was impossible for him to dodge Lu Ming's attack now that he was severely injured. Poof! The fourth stab hit the same spot as the previous three. Chapter 45:15. But this time, Yechu Tianji's source-grade armor was pierced through and could no longer block Lu Ming's attack. Puff! The terrifying spear light pierced through Yechu Tianji's body and entered his body. "Ah, Lu Ming, the heavenly palace won't let you go." Yechu Tianji let out a blood-curdling scream before his body was destroyed by the destructive power of the spear light. Even his soul was annihilated along with it. Yi Chu Tianji was dead. This time he was truly dead. There was no way he could come back to life. This former strongest heavenly emperor had just broken through to the divine master realm and was full of ambition. He wanted to take revenge on Lu Ming, but in the end he lost his life in Lu Ming's hands. Only the source-grade armor was left floating in the air, its light dim. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the source-level divine armor in his hand. What a pity! Lu Ming shook his head. The armor was damaged. If it was intact, it would be too useful. Lu Ming was very tempted by its defensive power. If it weren't for the fact that the War God Spear was a top-tier source-grade weapon, it would have been difficult to break through the armor. With such an armor, he could save his life at a critical moment. In the untainted universe, source-grade magic weapons were already extremely rare, let alone defense-type ones. Every single one of them was extremely rare. Every single one of them was a peerless treasure. Even reciprocity experts would put their lives on the line for a source-grade armor like this. It was too rare. This could be seen from the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's 18 Guardian Divine Weapons. The 18 Temple Garrison Divine Weapons were all offensive divine weapons. None of them were defensive divine weapons. It could be seen from this. But now that it was damaged, it wasn't very useful. I'll keep it first and see if I can find someone to repair it. If not, I'll just give it to Qiuqiu. Lu Ming pondered. Speaking of Qiuqiu, Lu Ming couldn't help but look at Qiuqiu on his wrist. In the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, Qiuqiu had swallowed a damaged source-grade weapon and reached the 9th layer of the Divine Master Realm. Later on, they stayed in the Creation Divine Formation for 300 years. During this time, Lu Ming gave the other damaged source-grade weapons and master-grade weapons to Qiuqiu. During that time, Qiuqiu had been digesting the damaged source-grade weapons and master-grade weapons. Lu Ming originally thought that with Qiuqiu's physique, he could quickly break through to the Divine Master Realm. But in reality, Qiuqiu was still at the 9th layer of the Divine Master Realm. Could it be that Qiuqiu had also encountered a bottleneck? Or did it not eat enough damaged source-grade weapons? During this period of time, Qiuqiu was in a deep sleep and focused on refining. Lu Ming did not ask about it. Lu Ming, what do we do now? Ling Yue flew over and asked. Yue, you enter my space first. I'll use the great imitation technique to test it out. Lu Ming said. You have to be careful. Yue nodded and entered the chaos ring. As for Lu Ming, he transformed into a young heavenly human. He was one of the people who had entered before. Then he headed towards the exit of the first floor. At this moment, outside the elven ancestral land, there was an uproar. Several terrifying auras reverberated in the void, filled with terrifying pressure. Lu Ming is in the elven ancestral land. Damn it, Yechu Tianji is in danger. Yechu of Beach roared. The heavenly human race was also divided into many factions, most of which were divided by surname. Yechu Tianji was the strongest genius in the Yechu sect. His future was limitless. He had been nurtured by the Yechu sect with all their might, and who knew how many resources had been spent. However, from the news that Yechu Tianji had just sent out, he seemed to be in danger. Yechu Tianji has already broken through to the Divine Master Realm. Is he still not a match for Lu Ming? Yelling Flight said with a frown. That Lu Ming is too monstrous. He can't be measured by common sense. Maybe he has also broken through to the Divine Master Realm. Although it's inconceivable, we have to be prepared for it. Yechu of Beach said, the killing intent in his eyes growing stronger. How did Lu Ming get in? Could it be that he was already inside with the elven princess? Or did he sneak in with Yechu Tianji and the others? Yelling Flight said. It's hard to say. It's possible. Yechu of Beach said. If he really sneaked in with Yechu Tianji and the others, then this person's disguise technique is really amazing. He can even fool us. Maybe later he will impersonate us and come out. Yelling Flight said. Brother Fidu and I have the same idea. Yechu of Beach nodded, then suddenly raised his voice and rang in everyone's ears. Listen up, whoever comes out of the elven ancestral land, no matter who they are, don't let them go. Take them all and let us interrogate them. Yes. The others answered loudly. Lu Ming passed through the 9th floor, the 8th floor. Soon, he arrived at the entrance of the 1st floor. Looking at the entrance, Lu Ming frowned. For some reason, he felt that this trip would not be so easy. Since they had already received the news of Yechu Tianji, the people of the Heavenly Palace would definitely not let him go so easily. Perhaps everyone who came out would be carefully examined. Lu Ming could use the great imitation technique to fool people like the Lord of Heaven, but that was because the other party did not check carefully. If they took him down and carefully examined him, they would definitely be able to find some clues. Not to mention anything else, they would be able to find out if he said a few words. He only imitated the other party's appearance and aura, but he did not know the other party's memories at all. But no matter what, he had to give it a try. Lu Ming stepped out and entered the exit. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared in the hall outside. However, Lu Ming stood at the edge of the entrance and did not take a step forward. Instead, he looked around. Then his heart skipped a beat. In the hall, there were many masters of the Heavenly Palace, who surrounded the exit so that not even a drop of water could pass through. At this time, these people's eyes fell on Lu Ming, and there was a trace of suspicion in their eyes. Yi Lingxian, so it's you? Why did you come out alone? Where are the others? A burly heavenly human tribe man asked. Only then did Lu Ming know that the heavenly human youth he had imitated was called Yi Lingxian. It's like this. I suddenly had a feeling that my realm might be showing signs of a breakthrough. So the emperor asked me to come out and return to the heavenly palace to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Ming said. This reason was actually very appropriate. Some people might feel an opportunity to break through at the last moment, so it was normal for them to go back and find a place to break through safely. If there was no news from Yechu Tianji, he would most likely be able to fool them and successfully leave here. However, these people were only half believing and half doubting. Their spiritual consciousness swept over Lu Ming's body and confirmed that the life origin aura was indeed Yi Lingxian. However, the Lord of Heaven had ordered that no matter who came out, they would be taken down. The Apex. Chapter 45:16. Alright, Yi Lingxian, come out first. Your breakthrough is more important. Hurry back to the Heavenly Palace. The middle-aged man from the heavenly human tribe said. His eyes flashed with a hint of urgency, and Lu Ming caught it clearly. Let me think about it. The journey back to the Heavenly Palace is too far. I'm afraid I won't make it in time. Everyone, how about this? Give me some pills, and I'll break through in the elf tribe's ancestral land. How about that? After saying that, Lu Ming moved slowly, as if he was going to re-enter the elf tribe's ancestral land. The surrounding people were a little anxious. Yi Lingxian, come out first. If you have any conditions, feel free to state them. The middle-aged man from the heavenly human tribe slowly approached Lu Ming. Looks like these people would rather kill 100 by mistake than let one person go. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. It was impossible to escape by pretending to be a member of the heavenly human tribe. Take him down. Suddenly, a loud roar came from outside the main hall. Then a powerful force surged in and rushed toward Lu Ming, trying to suppress Lu Ming. This was the attack of someone on the level of the Lord of Heaven. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He burst out with energy and rushed into the vortex. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared on the first level of the elf tribe's ancestral land. As soon as Lu Ming rushed into the vortex, Yechu of Beach rushed in with a gloomy face. That kid is Lu Ming. Don't even think about leaving. Yechu of Beach roared and rushed into the vortex. In the next moment, he also appeared on the first level of the elf tribe's ancestral land. Lu Ming was shocked when he saw Yechu of Beach. He quickly retreated. Lu Ming, where's Yechu Tianji? What did you do to him? Yechu of Beach roared and grabbed with his palm. A huge palm formed and pressed down on Lu Ming. Before the palm arrived, a terrifying force had already pressed down on Lu Ming. Bang! The ground beneath Lu Ming's feet directly exploded. The bones all over his body crackled, and dozens of them broke. He wanted to retreat and dodge, but he couldn't do it at all. He was completely suppressed by this force and couldn't move at all. I'm in trouble. Lu Ming's expression was ugly. However, at this moment, emerald green rays of light suddenly appeared in the void. These rays of light appeared out of nowhere, and surged towards Yechu of Beach's large hand like waves. King Yechu's roar shook violently. Then, cracks began to appear on the surface of the barrier, like it was made of porcelain. Finally, with a bang, it exploded. Then the emerald green light surged toward Yechu of Beach. Break! Yechu of Beach roared and a battle sword appeared in his hand. This was a master-level divine weapon. He roared and the supreme power of heaven erupted. He slashed with the sword with all his strength, trying to split the emerald green light apart. However, when the battle sword slashed into the emerald green light, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. It had no effect on the emerald green light at all. The emerald green light hit Yechu of Beach. His body shook violently, and he couldn't help but step back and spit out a mouthful of blood. Old man of the elf tribe, Yechu of Beach roared. This was a restriction set up by the ancestors of the elf tribe. Once one's age exceeded the age limit, they would be suppressed by the restriction. Obviously, this restriction was very powerful. Even the existence of the Lord of Heaven couldn't resist it. Lu Ming, surrender obediently and I'll leave your corpse intact. Yechu of Beach roared, his eyes cold. That's what Yi Chu Tianji said to me in the past. Now I've killed him. Lu Ming said lightly. Yi Chu Tianji's origin-level divine weapon armor appeared in his hand. Moreover, he had also changed back to his original appearance. Since he had been guessed correctly, there was no need to hide it. You're courting death, Yechu of Beach roared. Looking at the origin-level divine weapon armor in Lu Ming's hand, his eyes were about to spit fire. The strong murderous intent almost materialized. The fact that the origin-level divine weapon armor was in Lu Ming's hand meant that Yi Chu Tianji was really dead. The strongest emperor, a peerless genius with a 12-star combat strength, was killed by Lu Ming just like that. This was a great loss for the heavenly human tribe. For the Yi Chu sect, it was an incalculable loss. His heart was bleeding. Oh, you want to kill me? Come on, I'm right here. Come and kill me. Lu Ming stretched out his arms as if waiting for Yechu of Beach to kill him. This made Yechu of Beach gnash his teeth in anger. He roared and wanted to kill Lu Ming, but when he was hit by the green light, he couldn't help but spit out blood and retreat. Now the green light between heaven and earth was getting denser and denser. It gathered together and kept rushing toward Yechu of Beach. Puff, puff. Yechu of Beach spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale, and his injuries were quite serious. If this continued, he would be killed by the power of the restriction here. Lu Ming, you can't escape. The heavenly masters of the heavenly palace will soon come and break the restriction here. When that time comes, you will end up very miserable. I promise. Yechu of Beach roared and then quickly retreated out of the exit of the ancestral land of the elf tribe. Lu Ming's face became serious. The situation was indeed not good. The exit was blocked, and there was no way out. He could only stay in the ancestral land of the elf tribe. Once the heavenly masters of the heavenly palace came and broke the restriction of the ancestral land of the elf tribe, he would have nowhere to run. Let's try to send a message to Senior Fei Huang. Lu Ming took out the special voice transmission jade talisman of the Heaven Destroyer. However, it was useless. The message could not be sent out. It was blocked by the restriction here. It's really over. This restriction. Lu Ming had a love-hate relationship with the restriction of the ancestral land of the elf tribe. If it wasn't for this restriction, the people of the heavenly palace would have already killed their way in. However, the restriction now prevented him from sending a message. Without help, he would die sooner or later. Lu Ming tried a few more times, but it was useless. Then he tried to go to the second level, but it was still useless. The restriction on the second level was stronger, and the message could not be sent out. Find Yue and ask for news. Lu Ming used his spiritual sense to explore the Great Desolate Ring, and contacted Ling Yue. With a wave of his hand, Ling Yue appeared in front of him. Lu Ming, what kind of treasure is that? It's too magical. When Ling Yue saw Lu Ming, she said in shock. Right now, the elves in the Great Desolate Ring were all stunned. The continent inside the Great Desolate Ring was simply too big. Moreover, the cultivation environment was simply too good. It gave Ling Yue the feeling of being in the Supreme Immortal City. She had casually explored it just now and was stunned. This is called the Great Desolate Ring. It's the most precious treasure of the heavenly court. Lu Ming did not hide anything and said it directly. He did not want to hide anything from Ling Yue. Actually, there was no need to hide it. This was because there were many heavenly human races who had not died in the life-spirit heavenly court. The upper echelons of the heavenly palace probably knew that he had obtained the great desolate ring by now. It's actually the most precious treasure of the life-spirit heavenly court. Ling Yue was also deeply shocked as she said, "Could it be that something happened to the life-spirit heavenly court? My life-spirit origin stone fragment from before flew away on its own." Lu Ming and Ling Yue had a simple conversation about the life-spirit heavenly court. Ling Yue's life-spirit origin stone fragment had indeed flown away on its own, but that was because the elf tribe had encountered a great calamity. So how could she have the mood to care about the life-spirit origin stone fragment? Peak. Chapter 45:17. Lu Ming also briefly explained the matter of the life-spirit heavenly court and asked, "Yue, are there any other exits in the ancestral land of the elves?" "No, what's wrong? You can't get out of the previous exit?" Ling Yue said. "I can't get out. The news has been spread." Lu Ming recounted what had happened before. Ling Yue's expression became serious again. After a long while, Ling Yue pulled Lu Ming's big hand and said, "Lu Ming, I've implicated you." "Silly girl, what are you talking about? I've implicated you all. Don't worry, even if I die, I will send you all out safely. Also, take the seed of the saint tree with you. If you can escape, you can plant it." Lu Ming took out the holy tree seed that he had left behind all those years ago, and placed it in Ling Yue's hands. "Lu Ming." Ling Yue's eyes were slightly red as she said, "You can't die. I won't allow you to die. I want you to use your entire life to compensate me." "Ah, don't worry. I, Lu Ming, have lived for so many years. What kind of scene have I not seen? It won't be that easy for the heavenly palace to kill me." A cold light flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. Since there was no other way, he could only go all out. Lu Ming still had one more trump card, and that was the purple copper coffin. At this time, even if Lu Ming didn't want to open it, he had to. Taking advantage of the fact that the former Empyrean level expert had yet to arrive, Lu Ming planned to use the purple copper coffin to fight. Otherwise, when the Empyrean level expert arrived, even if he used the purple copper coffin, he might not be able to escape. Lu Ming let Ling Yue rush into the great desolate ring, then summoned the purple copper coffin, and walked towards the exit. Not long after, Lu Ming passed through the entrance and arrived at the Great Hall. Of course, Lu Ming was close to the whirlpool, ready to escape if the situation went wrong. "It's Lu Ming." The moment Lu Ming appeared, he was discovered. The people from the heavenly palace looked at Lu Ming in shock. They obviously did not expect Lu Ming to actually dare to come out. The Lord of Heaven is not here. Lu Ming scanned with his spiritual sense and knew that the Lord of Heaven was not here. Lu Ming had already been discovered. The people from the heavenly palace had never thought that Lu Ming would dare to come out. So the Lord of Heaven was not guarding the Great Hall's palace. "Take him down." The people from the heavenly palace came to their senses. They roared and charged toward Lu Ming. All kinds of attacks also surged toward Lu Ming. "Go to hell." Lu Ming sneered. He grabbed the purple copper coffin with both hands and pushed it with all his might, trying to open the lid of the purple copper coffin. However, it did not budge. The lid of the purple copper coffin did not budge, not even an inch. "What's going on?" Lu Ming was a little anxious. He pushed again, but it still did not budge. At this moment, the attacks from the heavenly palace's heavenly palace experts were about to reach. There was no lack of terrifying experts among them. At this critical moment, Lu Ming could only place the purple copper coffin in front of him and retreat rapidly. Dang dang dang. Many attacks bombarded the purple copper coffin, causing violent vibrations. The powerful force made Lu Ming retreat even faster. He rushed directly into the whirlpool and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared on the first level of the elf ancestral land. The powerful force made him retreat continuously, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming's face was a little pale. Although the purple copper coffin had blocked those attacks, he was still injured by the rebound force. However, Lu Ming's face was very ugly. He was more concerned about the purple copper coffin. Why couldn't the purple copper coffin open just now? Let's try again. Lu Ming continued to push the lid of the purple copper coffin, but it still did not budge. No matter what method Lu Ming used, he could not open it. Nest, you dropped the ball at this critical moment. Lu Ming really wanted to curse out loud. What's wrong with the purple copper coffin? What happened? Why can't I open it? It used to be easy to open. When Lu Ming first got the purple copper coffin, his cultivation was very low, but he could open it. Now that his cultivation had reached the almighty realm, he could not open it. What the hell happened? Could it be related to his past self? The last time he opened the purple copper coffin, his past self was sucked into the purple copper coffin. Lu Ming had never used the purple copper coffin again. Now he could not open it when he took it out. The purple copper coffin could not be used. His strongest trump card was gone. How could he get out? Soon, Lu Ming returned to the first level and sat cross-legged. There was no other way. He could only take it one step at a time. Staying on the first level, Lu Ming observed the movements outside at all times. However, behind Lu Ming was the entrance to the second level. This was also to prevent accidents. If something went wrong, he could quickly rush to the second level. Lu Ming did not wait for long. 2 days later. Rumble. Heaven and earth began to shake violently. Following that, emerald green rays of light began to emanate from the ground and the void, rushing towards a certain direction. Edited by Lifer Fingerfox, an expert has rushed in. Could it be a heavenly master? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Lu Ming guessed correctly. At this moment, the heavenly palace had indeed dispatched a lord of heaven. It was an old man, Minghua Tianzuan. After he arrived, he directly rushed into the ancestral land of the elf clan, which naturally triggered the attack of the ancestral land of the elf clan. On the first level, endless emerald green light rushed toward the heavenly masters of the heavenly human clan. However, Empyrean Minghua chopped down with his palm and split these multicolored lights apart. His gaze seemed to penetrate the void and fell on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, today you can't escape. Minghua Tianzuan spoke, and his voice instantly spread throughout the first level. He took a step forward and quickly closed the distance between him and Lu Ming. It's really a heavenly master. Retreat. Lu Ming was shocked. In a flash, he rushed into the entrance to the second level, and then quickly flew toward the entrance to the third level. Not long after Lu Ming entered the second level, Minghua Tianzuan also arrived at the entrance just now. He stepped out and also entered the second level. As soon as he arrived at the second level, endless emerald green light appeared on the second level and rushed toward Minghua Tianzuan. Tens of thousands of rays of light gathered together and rushed out like a vast sea. Minghua Tianzuan's palm was still like a knife. With a slap, an incomparably huge sword light burst out from his palm and slashed toward the emerald green light. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook, and the emerald green light kept flickering. However, there were more rays of light rushing toward Minghua Tianzuan. The restrictive power of the second level was obviously much stronger than the first level. However, it still couldn't stop Minghua Tianzuan. His palm kept slashing down, breaking the rays of light and chasing after Lu Ming. Lu Ming was already familiar with the ancestral land of the elf clan. Soon he arrived at the entrance to the third level and entered the third level. Then he rushed to the fourth level without stopping. The second level didn't trap Minghua Tianzuan for long. Soon he also arrived at the third level, the apex. Chapter 45:18. The forbidden power of the third floor was even more terrifying. When Minghua Tianzuan set foot on the third floor, the emerald light that filled the sky rushed toward Minghua Tianzuan, wanting to drown him. Old fellows of the elven race, when they were alive, they had to bow and scrape before me. Now that they're dead, they still want to stop me? What a joke. Minghua Tianzuan said indifferently. Thousands of bolts of lightning erupted from his body. This was the power of heavenly punishment. The power of heavenly punishment at the level of a heavenly venerate was just too terrifying. Who knew how many bolts of pure white lightning erupted in an instant? Who knew if there were hundreds of thousands or millions of bolts of lightning? They filled the entire sky and collided with the emerald light. Rumble. The world shook violently. Space was torn apart, and the ground constantly exploded. Huge craters appeared on the ground, as well as cracks that extended for hundreds of thousands of miles. The entire third floor seemed like it was about to be torn apart. Not only that, but it also affected the first and second floors. The worlds of the first and second levels trembled continuously. Cracks appeared on the ground, and the entire world became extremely unstable. Lu Ming's face was extremely solemn as he approached the entrance to the fourth floor from the third floor. A heavenly venerate was just too powerful. The restrictions of the elven ancestral land were most likely unable to stop them. After all, this was a living origin realm expert, while the ones who had set down the restrictions of the elven ancestral land were only origin realm experts who had already died. The difference in strength was a stark contrast. The elven ancestral land was naturally unable to stop a living heavenly venerate. The elven ancestral land is about to explode. Lu Ming's face was solemn as he charged into the entrance to the fourth floor without any hesitation. After arriving at the fourth floor, Lu Ming charged into the entrance to the fifth floor without any hesitation. The further he went, the stronger the restrictions became. Lu Ming hoped that the restrictions at the back would be able to stop them. Even if they couldn't, they could at least delay them for a while. The longer they delayed, the more likely variables would appear. Not long after Lu Ming arrived at the fourth floor, Minghua Tianzuan also arrived at the 10th floor. The restrictive power of the fourth floor was clearly stronger than that of the third floor. The emerald green light here was almost solid, turning into lines of runes that wrapped around Minghua Tianzuan. Slash! Minghua Tianzuan shouted. The power of heavenly punishment appeared in his right hand, and the power of heavenly punishment appeared in his left hand. The two supreme powers of heavens formed into two different swords. With a wave of his sword, boundless sword light burst out in all directions. The forbidden power of the elves' ancestral land was forcefully broken open. Terrifying sword marks appeared on the ground, almost splitting the entire fourth level. He strode forward, getting closer and closer to Lu Ming. Lu Ming also pushed his speed to the limit, flying rapidly. Just like this, the two of them, one chasing the other, arrived at the 5th floor, the 6th floor, the 7th floor. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the 9th floor. And Minghua Tianzuan also arrived at the 9th floor. The restrictive power of the 9th floor had almost reached its peak. Not only that, but the restrictive power of the first 8 floors also gathered at the 9th floor, turning into countless runes. These runes then condensed into incomparably huge arrows. Each of these arrows was as long as 100 miles, shooting toward Minghua Heavenly Empyrean. The elves' ancestral land only has 9 floors in total. Lu Ming, where do you think you can run to now? Minghua Tianzuan said indifferently. His voice spread far and wide, as if he was a cat catching a mouse. As he spoke, a battle sword appeared in his hand. This battle sword exuded a terrifying wave of energy. This was an source-level divine weapon. As a veteran celestial master of the Heavenly Palace, it was normal for him to have an source-level divine weapon. Clang! The source-level battle sword vibrated, making a loud sword sound. Sword chi soared into the sky, instantly triggering hundreds of millions of sword chi, colliding with the sky full of arrows. Rumble! The collision between the two sides destroyed heaven and earth, and the terrifying force swept in all directions. If this confrontation was in the universe, it would probably destroy a galaxy. The power was too strong, and the elves' ancestral land could not withstand such a terrifying collision. The space collapsed, the earth cracked, and the explosions continued. The first floor was the first to collapse. The restrictive power of the first floor was the weakest, and now that it gathered on the 9th floor to suppress Minghua Tianzuan, the restrictive power of the previous floors became even weaker. The protective power also became very weak, and could not withstand the terrifying aftermath at all. The earth of the first floor was completely torn apart, and the void was full of hideous cracks, looking incomparably terrifying. Then a big explosion occurred. The first floor was constantly exploding and annihilating, and was sucked into the endless dark void. The first floor of the elves' ancestral land was destroyed. Then the second floor, the third floor, one floor after another exploded. The evil spirits in the stone towers were also reduced to ashes by the terrifying power, and dissipated into thin air. Lu Ming saw this scene through the space crack. He gasped, and his heart was extremely heavy. Soon Lu Ming came to the entrance to the 10th floor. Standing there, Lu Ming did not move, and he was not in a hurry to rush to the 10th floor. He wanted to observe the situation. At the same time, he took out the purple copper coffin again, and wanted to open it, but it did not move at all. Slash slash slash. Minghua Tianzuan shouted, and his battle sword kept slashing out. However, the restrictive power of this floor was also incomparably strong. Most importantly, the restrictive power of the 10th floor was also activated, and it gathered together to suppress Minghua Tianzuan. For a moment, the two sides were in a deadlock, and Minghua Tianzuan could not rush over for a while. This made Minghua Tianzuan's eyes flash with anger. He took action personally, but he could not take down Lu Ming in a short time, which made him extremely unhappy and felt that he had lost face. He roared angrily, constantly urging his power to resist the restrictive power of the elves' ancestral land. At this time, the restrictive power of the elves' ancestral land was also at its peak. Endless emerald light condensed into three huge figures. These were three elves, and their bodies were emitting endless light. Their appearances could not be seen clearly, but it could be felt that their auras were extremely terrifying. They were definitely top experts. Are these the three Origin Realm experts in the history of the elves? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The restrictive power was at its peak, and three Origin Realm experts were condensed. They drew their bows at the same time, and shot an arrow at Minghua Tianzuan. There were only 3 arrows, and they were not big, but Minghua Tianzuan's eyes were extremely solemn. 2 marks appeared between his eyebrows, as if they were resonating with the universe. At this moment, his power had become even stronger. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He slashed out 3 sword lights with all his might, and they slashed at the 3 arrows. After 3 consecutive explosions, the 3 arrows were blocked. However, the sword light that Minghua Heavenly Venerate had unleashed also dissipated. Kill! Minghua Tianzuan roared, and his figure soared into the sky, killing one of the Origin Realm experts of the elves. Chapter 45:19. Minghua Tianzuan charged at one of the Origin Realm elves with all his might. He pushed his Origin Realm sword with all his might, and destroyed the arrow of the Origin Realm elves with a single arrow. Then he continued to slash out with his sword, trying to kill them one by one. However, these 3 Origin Realm elves were not real living beings. They were formed by the power of the restriction. They could be said to be one entity. Therefore, their cooperation was flawless. The 2 of them shot out 2 terrifying arrows that went straight for Minghua Tianzuan's forehead and dantian. For cultivators, the forehead and dantian were the most vital points. They were too fast, their timing was too accurate, and their power was too strong. Minghua Tianzuan did not dare to agree. He could only use all his strength to block. Naturally, he could not attack one of them. Just like that, the 2 sides went back and forth for more than 10 rounds, but it was difficult to determine a victor. The aftermath of the battle between the 2 sides caused severe damage to the ancestral land of the elves. At this moment, the first 6 floors had already exploded and disappeared. The 7th floor was also full of holes. On the 7th floor, many stone towers cracked and many evil spirits rushed out. This was the 7th floor. The evil spirits suppressed here were already extremely powerful. In particular, the evil spirits in each stone tower were even more powerful. They roared and flew around randomly. In the blink of an eye, Minghua Tianzuan and the 3 elves exchanged more than 10 rounds, but there was still no victor. Listen up. I'll block the power of the restriction of the elves' ancestral land. You guys go and suppress Lu Ming. Minghua Tianzuan shouted to the other experts of the Heavenly Palace. He was also afraid that things would change if he delayed. This was because during this period of time, Heaven Destroyer had sent out many experts to secretly hide in the various star regions of the elves to save some elves. During this period of time, the experts of the Heavenly Palace had fought with these people many times. If time continued to delay, he was afraid that the Origin Realm experts of Heaven Destroyer would come and save Lu Ming. Therefore, he blocked the power of the restriction with all his strength, and let the others do the work. Go. Swish. 2 figures pounced in Lu Ming's direction at high speed. They were Yechu of Beach and Yelling Flight, the 2 Lord of Heaven. Their reactions were the fastest, and their speed was also the fastest. The first 6 levels had already been destroyed, leaving behind only some wreckage. Of course, since they had just been destroyed, the entire place was still filled with destructive power, and the void was extremely chaotic. Of course, this wasn't a problem for the two Lord of Heaven level figures. They charged through and quickly arrived at the 7th floor. Roar, 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 JJG. When the two of them arrived at the 7th floor, those evil spirits screamed and charged at them. Mere evil spirits, exterminate! Yechu of Beach and Yelling Flight shouted coldly. Their strongest heavenly power erupted, and their divine might was vast and mighty, especially since they both controlled the power of heavenly punishment. Tens of thousands of thunderbolts pressed down, and those evil spirits were struck by the thunderbolts. Their bodies were directly annihilated and turned into ashes. Only those evil spirits guarding the tower were stronger. They blocked the thunderbolts' attack and weren't immediately annihilated, but their light dimmed and they were severely injured. The evil spirits on the 7th floor couldn't stop the two Lord of Heaven at all. They quickly broke through the encirclement and arrived at the 8th floor. The evil spirits on the 8th floor were even more powerful, especially those guarding the tower. They were extremely terrifying existences. When Lu Ming and the others came to the last few floors, they didn't dare to open the stone tower at all. In the face of those guarding the tower, even if they had the royal blood of the elves, it would be useless. This was because the evil spirits here were all suppressed by the elves when they were alive. They were extremely terrifying existences. After turning into evil spirits, their strength was still astonishing. A large group of evil spirits charged at Yechu of Beach and Yelling Flight, causing great trouble for them. That's right, evil spirits. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The evil spirits here might be a great help to him. Many of the evil spirits in the Evil Spirit Tower on the 9th floor had yet to be released. Lu Ming immediately contacted Ling Yue and asked her to lend him the Holy Tree Seed. Ling Yue naturally wouldn't be unwilling in the slightest. Lu Ming held the Holy Tree Seed and rushed towards a tall stone tower. After arriving at the bottom of the stone tower, Lu Ming directly opened the door of the stone tower. Then he threw a punch into the stone tower, causing it to shake violently. Roar! A terrifying roar came from the stone tower. Following that, an incomparably powerful aura spread out. Lu Ming hurriedly retreated. Immediately, a terrifying evil spirit rushed out of the stone tower. This evil spirit's aura was incomparably powerful. Its gloomy and cold aura covered the sky and covered the earth, enveloping Lu Ming. Lu Ming shuddered. This evil spirit was absolutely terrifying. Its strength had probably reached the extremely high level of the Divine Master Realm. When it saw Lu Ming, it revealed a sinister expression and pounced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming hurriedly raised the Holy Tree Seed in his hand. The Holy Tree Seed emitted a hazy light and a mysterious aura spread out. When the evil spirit sensed the aura of the Holy Tree Seed, its body suddenly stopped. It looked at the Holy Tree Seed with fear in its eyes. Slowly, the evil spirit roared a few times and retreated. Its gaze fell on Minghua Tianzuan, who was fighting with the three elves. It hesitated for a moment, as if it was very afraid. It didn't dare to rush over, and could only pace around anxiously. How cowardly! Lu Ming disdained. However, although this evil spirit didn't dare to attack Minghua Tianzuan, it should be able to stop Yechu of Beach and Yelling Flight from behind. This wasn't bad either. Lu Ming pounced on the next stone pagoda and released the evil spirit in the stone pagoda. Little bastard! Minghua Tianzuan roared angrily and wanted to suppress Lu Ming with one palm. However, the three elves wouldn't let him succeed. They kept attacking Minghua Tianzuan, leaving him with no time to spare. Soon, Lu Ming opened more than a dozen stone towers on the 9th floor and released Lu Ming's pagoda guardian evil spirits. More than a dozen terrifying evil spirits, leading thousands of other evil spirits, were howling and roaring. It was extremely terrifying. When Yechu of Beach and Yelling Flight rushed to the 9th floor, these evil spirits immediately discovered them and rushed towards them. As for the other people from the Heavenly Palace, they could only watch from the outside. With their strength, not only would they not be of help, but they would also be killed by the evil spirits. The evil spirits on the 9th floor were extremely powerful. Yechu of Beach and Yelling Flight were blocked. The two of them rushed left and right, but they couldn't break out of the encirclement of the evil spirits. This made them extremely angry, They had clearly mobilized so many experts, but they still couldn't do anything to Lu Ming. Soon, more than 10 minutes passed. At this time, Lu Ming's face changed and became a little ugly. This was because he found that Ming Hua Tianzuan was gradually suppressing the three elves. The power of the seal is constantly weakening. Lu Ming's face was a little ugly. Yes, the power of the seal was constantly weakening. After all, the power of the seal was dead and limited. In the constant confrontation with Ming Hua Tianzuan, the power of the seal was constantly being consumed. Every time it was consumed, it would weaken a little. Ming Hua Tianzuan was in the origin realm, so his power could be said to be endless. Although it couldn't be said to be endless, it was more resistant than the power of the seal. Chapter 45:20. If this went on, the power of the restriction wouldn't be able to stop Ming Hua Tianzuan for long. Lu Ming, you're too naive to expect this mere restriction power to stop me. Let's see how you're going to stop me when the restriction power is depleted a little more. Ming Hua Tianzuan said coldly. Lu Ming didn't say anything. His expression was ugly. Indeed, when the restriction power couldn't stop the other party, he would have no way out. At this moment, he realized that Ling Yue was calling out to him. Yue, what's the matter? Lu Ming's spiritual sense communicated with Ling Yue through the Great Desolate Ring. Lu Ming, there's another stone pagoda on the 10th floor of the ancestral grounds. There's an extremely terrifying evil spirit suppressed inside. You can release it to deal with the experts of the Heavenly Palace. Ling Yue said. The 10th floor also suppresses an evil spirit? Lu Ming was surprised. In his impression, the 10th floor was a wasteland. Back then, he had only discovered a holy seed mother tree and nothing else. That's right. Over the years, we've been constantly exploring the 10th floor. According to some ancient records, there is indeed an evil spirit on the 10th floor. It's extremely terrifying. It's very likely that it was an origin realm existence when it was alive. Ling Yue said. An existence of the origin realm. Lu Ming's heart trembled. It seemed that an extraordinary figure had appeared among the ancestors of the elves. He could even kill an existence of the origin realm. All right, tell me where it is. I'll go and release it. Lu Ming said. The more chaotic it was, the better. The more chaotic it was, the more chaotic it was. Only then would he have a chance to escape. Let me out, I'll go with you. That evil spirit is extremely terrifying. Even if you have the seed of the holy tree, you might not be able to intimidate it. You still need the power of my bloodline, and the treasures of the elves on me to intimidate it. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming originally didn't want to let Ling Yue out, but what Ling Yue said made sense. If he let that terrifying evil spirit out, the seed of the holy tree wouldn't be able to intimidate it. Instead, he would be slapped to death by it. Lu Ming entered the 10th floor and released Ling Yue. Follow me. Ling Yue said, then rushed in a certain direction. Not long after, Lu Ming and Ling Yue arrived in front of a tall hill. This is the place where the evil spirits are suppressed? Lu Ming said. That's right, the stone pagoda is covered by mud. Ling Yue nodded. With a push of her palm, a powerful force surged forward. Ling Yue's meticulous control over her strength was like a cocoon, peeling off all the soil on the surface, leaving only a stone pagoda in front of Lu Ming and Ling Yue. This stone pagoda was different from the other stone pagodas. Around this stone pagoda, there were a few smaller stone pagodas. They were like guards, protecting the larger stone pagoda. In order to open the door to the large stone pagoda, one must destroy these small stone pagoda. These small stone pagoda have sealing power. Ling Yue said. All right, there's no time to lose. Let's go. Lu Ming said as he punched out, hitting a small stone pagoda. With a boom, the small stone pagoda shook violently, but only a small corner was broken. So hard. Lu Ming was surprised. These stone pagodas are made of special materials. Lu Ming, use your divine armament to bombard them. Ling Yue said. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, the war god spear appeared in his hand. Wang. The war god spear trembled and pierced towards the small stone pagoda. With a boom, the small stone pagoda exploded. On the other side, a battle bow also appeared in Ling Yue's hand. Source-level divine armament. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The source-level divine armament battle bow in Ling Yue's hand was not the one from before. The one from before was a blood-stained Elven King bow. The blood-stained Elven King bow should only be a main-level divine armament, but this one was a source-level divine armament. The elf clan has existed for countless years. In history there have been 3 origin realm experts. It's normal for them to have a source-level divine armament as their inheritance. Lu Ming pondered. Ling Yue shot out an arrow, and a careful stone pagoda was blasted apart. There were a total of 8 small stone pagodas. The 2 of them attacked consecutively, and very quickly the 8 small stone pagodas exploded. Rumble. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but after the 8 small stone pagodas exploded, Lu Ming felt that the large stone pagoda trembled, as if the evil spirit inside had awakened. Lu Ming, be careful. Ling Yue whispered with a solemn expression. Lu Ming nodded. He did not approach the stone pagoda. Instead, he used his taboo energy to form a large hand and opened the door of the stone pagoda. As soon as the door opened, Lu Ming and Ling Yue's figures quickly retreated. This was because they could feel an extremely terrifying aura spreading out from within the door. It was like a tide that swept out in all directions. This aura was extremely cold and evil, as if it wanted to devour everything. Lu Ming grabbed the seed of the holy tree in his hand. Ling Yue stirred her blood, and the elven royal bloodline erupted with all its might. At the same time, the battle bow in her hand also emitted a dazzling light. Roar. An incomparably terrifying roar came from within the stone pagoda, and then an evil spirit crawled out. This evil spirit was like a lizard, but it had 9 heads and 3 tails. Its body was hundreds of meters long, and its 2 evil eyes stared at Lu Ming and Ling Yue. With a slight twist of its body, it arrived not far from the 2 of them. Lu Ming felt his body tense up, and cold sweat involuntarily appeared on the surface of his skin. This was a reaction that would only appear when facing a terrifying expert. Origin Realm. Lu Ming was sure that this evil spirit was extremely terrifying. It made Lu Ming feel as if he was facing an Origin Realm expert. This evil spirit's gaze moved back and forth between Lu Ming and Ling Yue. Of course, it was mainly looking at the seed of the holy tree in Lu Ming's hand, and the battle bow in Ling Yue's hand. Lu Ming felt as if his heart was about to jump out of his throat. If this evil spirit attacked them, then they would really die. Fortunately, this evil spirit only glanced at them a few times before turning around and leaving. Its 9 heads roared, and the space was directly torn apart. It took a step forward and appeared on the 9th floor. Then it pounced at Minghua Tianzuan. Its 9 huge mouths spit at Minghua Tianzuan. Mere evil spirit, purify for me. Minghua Tianzuan roared. Sword light erupted as he fought with the evil spirit. Boom. Boom. The 2 collided continuously, causing devastating attacks. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions, and the world on the 9th floor constantly exploded. Huge cracks continuously spread, even extending to the 10th floor. The 10th floor also shook violently, and huge cracks appeared on the ground. Now the power of the restrictions in the Elven ancestral land had weakened, and its defense had been greatly reduced. In a battle between Origin Realm experts, it could not be stabilized at all. The entire Elven ancestral land was being torn apart and collapsing. Not good. Lu Ming and Ling Yue's expressions changed drastically as they quickly retreated. In the sky, there were a few huge cracks that spread towards them from afar. Chapter 45-21. Minghua Tianzuan and the evil spirit engaged in an intense battle. However, although the evil spirit was in existence at the Origin Realm when it was alive, after turning into an evil spirit, its strength had been affected, and it was no longer at its peak. However, with the addition of the 3 elven experts formed by the power of the restrictions, they could still fight against Minghua Tianzuan. Minghua Tianzuan was furious. His long golden hair fluttered in the wind as the Origin Grade battle sword in his hand moved unhindered. Sword chi after sword chi had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Some of the sword chi was blocked by the evil spirit and the restrictions, but some of the sword chi directly slashed into the void and the ground. Boom. Boom. The void exploded and the ground sank. The first 8 levels of the world had completely exploded. The 9th and 10th levels were also constantly exploding. The world exploded, forming a destructive force that swept in all directions. Lu Ming and Ling Yue constantly flashed, dodging the chaotic flow of space. Yue, enter the chaos ring. Lu Ming waved his hand and a powerful suction force enveloped Ling Yue, sending her into the chaos ring. He quickly retreated, heading towards a place where there was no explosion. However, the area of the 10th level that was not destroyed was getting smaller and smaller, and the place he could stay was also getting smaller and smaller. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a terrifying killing intent envelop him, causing the hairs on his body to stand on end. Lu Ming scanned with his spiritual sense, and his expression changed drastically. It was Yechu of Beach. He had actually broken through the evil spirit's defense, and was rushing towards Lu Ming. His eyes were cold and filled with ferocious killing intent. The strength of a Lord of Heaven was too strong. The chaotic void turbulence and the chaotic destructive power did not affect him at all. The supreme power of heaven burst out and rushed through. The only thing he had to pay attention to was the aftermath of the battle between Minghua Tianzuan and the evil spirit. As long as he avoided these aftershocks, he would be fine. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming. Let's see where you can run to now. Yechu of Beach sneered, his face incomparably malevolent. Yechu of Beach's killing intent soared to the extreme as soon as he thought about how Lu Ming had killed Yichu Tianji. Soon, Yechu of Beach was about to reach the 10th floor. Unfortunately, I'll have to disappoint you. Lu Ming's indifferent voice rang out. He glanced disdainfully at Yechu of Beach before charging into a large spatial crack. The spatial rifts here were different from the spatial rifts in the universe. This was because the elven ancestral land was being destroyed and exploding. The spatial cracks here were extremely chaotic and filled with terrifying destructive power. It was extremely dangerous. Even if an ordinary divine lord rushed in, they would be torn to pieces. Do you want to die? Yechu of Beach roared and rushed into the 10th floor at an extremely fast speed. However, Lu Ming was already nowhere to be seen. He was furious and rushed into the spatial crack as well. In the huge space crack, there was a chaotic and destructive force everywhere, constantly rushing toward him. He activated the power of heaven to block it, and scanned his surroundings. However, all he could see was boundless darkness and he had lost track of Lu Ming. Damn it! Yechu of Beach roared. His supreme power of heaven erupted and broke through the chaotic destructive power. He rushed in a direction, but he still couldn't find any trace of Lu Ming. He changed his direction again, but he still couldn't find him. In the pitch-black chaotic void, he couldn't tell his direction or position. It was as if even time had stopped. Yechu of Beach continued to look in several directions, but he still couldn't find Lu Ming. He had no choice but to retreat. Where's Lu Ming? Minghua Tianzuan shouted when he saw Yechu of Beach come out alone. Yechu of Beach's face turned ugly. He said, Sky Sovereign Lu Ming. Lu Ming is missing. Missing? You piece of trash. Minghua Tianzuan roared. He wanted to go and find Lu Ming personally, but he was entangled by the evil spirit and the restrictive power. He couldn't rush over at all. Send someone to seal off the surrounding space immediately. Once you find Lu Ming, send me a message immediately. Minghua Tianzuan shouted. Yes. Yechu of Beach and the others quickly received the order, and sent someone to seal off the surrounding space. If Lu Ming was fine, he would probably appear in the nearby space. According to Yechu of Beach's conjecture, Lu Ming was most likely dead. This was because he knew how terrifying the chaotic destructive power was. Anyone below the 7th tier of the Divine Master Realm would probably die if they entered. However, Lu Ming had a taboo body and possessed great fortune. They had to treat him with caution. Lu Ming was currently in a miserable state. The chaotic destructive power of the void was too powerful. Although it couldn't do anything to Yechu of Beach, the difference in cultivation base between him and Yechu of Beach was too great. The chaotic destructive power was a fatal threat to him. The moment he charged into the dark void, the chaotic destructive power kept attacking him. The secret art he used to protect himself was instantly torn apart. The terrifying power slammed into Lu Ming's body. Waves of piercing pain spread throughout his body. His skin was torn apart, and his muscles were torn apart. Finally, his bones and internal organs were torn apart, and destroyed by the chaotic power of destruction. Charge! Charge! Lu Ming used all his strength to open a path with the war god's spear. He chose a direction and charged forward. However, the destructive power around him kept surging toward him. As the destruction on the 10th level became more and more intense, the destructive power it produced also became stronger and stronger. Puff! Puff! Lu Ming's muscles were torn apart, and then turned into powder that dissipated in the air. It looked too wretched. Soon, Lu Ming was covered in blood. Bam! Then one of Lu Ming's legs exploded, followed by his arm, and then his body. Lu Ming's body was constantly being destroyed. In the end, he could only use his mind to control the war god's spear, and continue charging forward. Finally, Lu Ming broke through the encirclement of the chaotic destructive power, and came to a calm dark void. However, Lu Ming was also severely injured. His body was in tatters, and even his consciousness was a little blurry. His vision turned black, and he couldn't even lift his eyelids. I can't faint. I have to hold on. Lu Ming roared in his heart. He used his remaining strength and flew forward, disappearing into the dark void. When Yechu of Beach chased after him, Lu Ming had already broken through the chaotic destructive area. Lu Ming felt that he had spent a long time, but in fact, only a few breaths had passed. After flying for a distance, Lu Ming's consciousness became more and more blurry. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and fainted completely. His body also floated in the eternal dark void, drifting to an unknown direction. After a long time, Lu Ming woke up in a daze. I'm still in the dark void. How long have I been unconscious? Lu Ming whispered and then checked his condition. His body had already recovered to its original state. His physique was too strong. As long as a single cell survived, his body could be regenerated. Evidently, his body had repaired itself while he was unconscious. Chapter 45:22. When he was in a coma, his cells would recover automatically. When he woke up, his body had completely recovered. However, his aura was still weak. His cultivation was far from recovered. Lu Ming immediately took out a pile of divine elixirs from his storage ring, and swallowed them all. He refined the elixirs and recovered his cultivation. About half a day later, Lu Ming had recovered to his peak state. This time, it was really close. Lu Ming exhaled. Fortunately, he was decisive enough at the critical moment, and directly charged into the spatial rift to escape. Fortunately, his life force was tenacious enough, and he managed to survive by the skin of his teeth. Let's go. With a thought, Lu Ming tore the void with both hands. The void was directly torn open, and bits of starlight sprinkled in. It seems that I am still somewhere in the starry sky of the primitive universe. Lu Ming smiled faintly and took a step forward. He left the dark void and returned to the primitive universe. Looking up, he saw stars embedded in the starry sky. Not far away, a huge star was burning fiercely. Where am I? Which starry sky am I in? Let's go and find out. Lu Ming thought for a while. Then he randomly chose a direction and flew forward. As he flew, his appearance and aura of the origin of life rapidly changed, turning him into a young devil wreathed in dense devil chi. His current speed was so fast that he could cross a starry sky with one step. Lu Ming left him in the dust. Soon, Lu Ming arrived on a huge planet with life. With his status as a demon, others would treat him with respect. It was very easy for him to find out the information he wanted. The Flying Cloud Star Area Group. I can't believe I am in such a remote place. It seems that I have been drifting in the dark void for a long time. Lu Ming was a little surprised. The Flying Cloud Star Area Group was very far away from the starry sky where the elves lived. This place was closer to the Taishu dynasty. It was a very remote place in the primitive universe. Lu Ming had actually drifted all the way here in the dark void. One could imagine that he had been unconscious for a long time. I never expected that I would come here. It's just nice. I was planning to return to the Taishu dynasty and bring my parents, the divine wilderness, Cheer, and company to the universe ruins. It saved me a lot of time. Lu Ming smiled. Now that he had a treasure like the Chaos Ring, he had long wanted to go to the Taishu dynasty and bring his family and friends to the ruins of the universe through the Chaos Ring. After all, Lu Ming was only at ease in the ruins of the universe. In the Taishu dynasty, Lu Ming was always worried. It would be troublesome if someone from the heavenly palace found them. Without hesitation, Lu Ming took a nearby wormhole and headed toward the Taishu dynasty. 2 days later, Lu Ming arrived at the Sacred Fire Saber sect. The Sacred Fire Saber sect was barely a universe-level force. It had a divine emperor, and was the closest universe-level force to the Taishu dynasty. When Lu Ming came out of the Taishu dynasty, the first place he went to was also the Sacred Fire Saber sect. After arriving here, Lu Ming tore the void and rushed toward the Taishu dynasty. Although the Sacred Fire Saber sect was still very far away from the Taishu Sacred dynasty, given Lu Ming's current cultivation level, it only took him 10 minutes to traverse the vast starry sky and reach the core of the Taishu Sacred dynasty, the Taishu Sacred capital. I'm finally back. Looking at the ancient city floating in the air in front of him, which was the Taishu holy capital, Lu Ming sighed with emotion. It had been 1,000 years since he left. 1,000 years had passed in the blink of an eye. Of course, Lu Ming was no longer the Lu Ming of the past. When he left the Taishu dynasty, Lu Ming's cultivation had just broken through to the Divine Emperor realm. Now he had reached the Divine Master realm. In between, he had crossed the 3 major realms of Divine Emperor, and Divine Emperor. To cross 3 major realms in 1,000 years, this kind of cultivation speed was enough to scare people to death. Back then he was inconspicuous in the vast chaotic universe. Any one of the major forces in the chaotic universe could suppress him. Now he was famous in the chaotic universe and had become a top expert in the chaotic universe. Time could change a lot, and it could also make people grow. I wonder how my old friends are doing now. Shen Huang, Chier Xiang, and Emoli. How are their cultivation levels? But they should be in the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King residence. I'll go to the holy capital first and see if Lan Shu and the rest are willing to go to the universe ruins with me. It won't be too late to go to the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King residence then. Lu Ming smiled and walked towards the Great Illusionary Holy Capital. When he was close to the Great Illusionary Holy Capital, Lu Ming released his spiritual senses and covered the entire Great Illusionary Holy Capital. He was looking for the Blue Merchant. With Lu Ming's current cultivation level, it was easy for him to cover the entire Great Illusionary Holy Capital with his spiritual senses. He could see clearly what everyone was doing in the Great Illusionary Holy Capital. Moreover, no one could discover him. Found him. Lu Ming smiled faintly. With a flash of his figure, he disappeared from the spot. After Lu Ming disappeared, more than 10 figures flew out of the Taishu dynasty's city walls and came to the place where Lu Ming had been. Where is he? Why did he disappear? He was too fast. I couldn't see how he left. He must be a top expert. Did you notice that the person looked very similar to the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King? I noticed it too. Could it really be the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King? He's back. That's possible. The Hidden Dragon Heavenly King has been gone for more than 1,000 years. It's normal for him to come back and take a look. Quick, let's report this to the Saint King. These people did not dare to delay and rushed into the Great Illusionary Holy Capital to report to the new Saint King, Jingma, and the old Queen Kong Shishue. In the Great Illusionary Holy Capital, in a huge garden, the Blue Merchant was holding a water bottle and watering the flowers. The Blue Merchant's cultivation level had been destroyed, and he had focused on cultivating spiritual powers. Soul power and cultivating God power were poles apart. These years, Shi Yan had been cultivating his mind and temperament, growing flowers and grasses. His soul power had improved even faster. Lan Shu, you're in a good mood. All of a sudden, a clear voice rang out. At first, the Blue Merchant was shocked. Someone had appeared behind him, and he had not sensed it. His spiritual powers were very strong, and his spiritual senses were very sharp. In the Taishu dynasty, the barbarian tribe, and the Tianyi sacred dynasty, only the Undying Demon Lord could do this. However, judging from the voice, it was not the Undying Demon Lord. Why does this voice sound so familiar? Lu Ming. The Blue Merchant immediately thought of Lu Ming. His eyes lit up and he quickly turned around. If the young man standing behind him was not Lu Ming, who else could it be? Speaking of which, Lu Ming's current body was different from before. Regardless of whether it was his appearance or life origin aura, they were all different. If it was his original appearance and life origin aura, the blue merchant would not have recognized him. However, before Lu Ming came, he had used the great imitation skill to change his appearance and life origin aura to be exactly the same as Lu Ming's. The Peak. Chapter 45-23. Lu Ming, you're back. Blue Merchant was pleasantly surprised to see Lu Ming. Lan Shu, it's been 1,000 years. Lan Shu's cultivation has become more profound. Lu Ming said with a smile. Lan Shang specialized in cultivating his soul power. Lu Ming discovered that Lan Shang's soul power was already very profound. It had reached the peak of a Lord God, and his soul power was surging. Of course, in Lu Ming's eyes, there was nowhere to hide. Lu Ming could see everything clearly. Blue Merchant had obtained the soul cultivation crystal, and had made great progress over the years. Lu Ming, your cultivation has also made great progress. I can't see through your cultivation. Have you broken through the peak of the Divine Emperor realm, and reached the Divine Emperor realm? Blue Merchant said. After saying that, he was shocked. He clearly remembered that when Lu Ming left back then, his cultivation level had just broken through to the Lord God level. Within a short span of 1,000 years, Lu Ming was able to cross a huge realm, break through the limit of the Lord God level, and become a God Emperor? This was too shocking. After all, 1,000 years was too short. The Taishu dynasty, the barbarian tribe, and the Tianyi sacred dynasty had not had anyone reach the Divine Emperor realm for countless years. Only the undying demon lord who had reached the Divine Emperor realm a few dozen years ago. If it were someone else, he would find it hard to believe. However, Lu Ming gave him the feeling that he was a bottomless pit, unfathomable. You can say that, Lu Ming said with a smile. He did not tell Blue Merchant his current cultivation level. Lu Ming, you've really reached the Divine Emperor realm? Why don't we exchange a few blows? Lan Shangdao's interest was piqued. This, Lu Ming wanted to refuse because there was no need to exchange blows. The gap was too big. He was afraid of hurting Blue Merchant. Someone's coming. Suddenly, Lu Ming looked in a direction. There were a few figures walking in the air at an extremely fast speed. Heavenly King Hidden Dragon, it's really you. A pleasant voice was heard. It was Kong Shishue. Next to her was the current Divine Emperor, Jingma. This young man looked almost the same as Jingyu. Behind Jingma and Kong Shishue were a few important officials of the Taishu dynasty. Your Majesty, Your Highness. Lu Ming casually cupped his fists. In fact, with his current cultivation, there was no need to bow to greet them. But he was an old acquaintance of Heavenly King Hidden Dragon. He was just a casual greeting. Anyway, he was not the kind of person who was particular about it. I knew it. When Heavenly King Hidden Dragon returns, he will definitely come here, Jingma said with a smile. After the battle between the Taishu dynasty, the barbarian tribe, and the Tianyi sacred dynasty, the Taishu dynasty established a new structure. Lu Ming was given the title of Heavenly King Hidden Dragon. The Heavenly King Hidden Dragon residence occupied half of the Taishu dynasty. As for Lan Shang, he was the imperial advisor. Heavenly King Hidden Dragon is back. You must be tired from the long journey. Let's set up a banquet to welcome you back, Kong Shishue said. Lu Ming didn't refuse. Lu Ming, Blue Merchant, and Kong Shishue came to a hall. A banquet was already set up in the hall. As soon as Lu Ming, Blue Merchant, and the others arrived, a few people hurried over. Ahaha, Lu Ming, you're back. A laugh came from outside the hall. Then a tall and burly figure stepped out. Etian. Lu Ming smiled. It was Etian, the leader of the 3 generals under Jingyu. Now he was in charge of all the troops of the Taishu dynasty. Heavenly King Qiansheng came with Etian. Greetings, Heavenly King Qiansheng. Lu Ming bowed solemnly. When he was in the Taishu dynasty, Heavenly King Qiansheng had helped him a lot. Without Heavenly King Qiansheng's help, Lu Ming wouldn't be who he was today. Lu Ming respected Heavenly King Qiansheng from the bottom of his heart. No matter how high his cultivation level was, this respect would never change. It's good that you're back. Heavenly King Qiansheng was full of smiles. At this time, a strong pressure came from outside. Then a burly figure stepped in. Undying Demon King. Lu Ming didn't need to look to know that it was Undying Demon King. Undying Demon King walked in with his hands behind his back. He didn't even look at Jingma, Kong Shishue, and the others. His eyes fell on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you're finally back. Undying Demon King grinned. His eyes shone brightly. His aura was so strong that it filled the hall with a strong pressure. Demon King, you're here too? That's great. Please take a seat. Kong Shishue said quickly. She was in awe of Undying Demon King. It couldn't be helped. Undying Demon King was invincible in the Taishu dynasty, the Barbarian tribe, and the Tianyi Sacred dynasty. When they faced Undying Demon King, they had to be careful not to offend him. I've been out for a long time. Of course, I want to come back and see my old friend. Lu Ming smiled and didn't care. He realized that Undying Demon King's cultivation level had been fully restored. In other words, Undying Demon King's cultivation level had reached the Divine Emperor realm. However, would Lu Ming care about a Divine Emperor realm expert? Come everyone, please take a seat. Jingma said quickly. Although he was the Great Void Sacred Emperor, he didn't have any loyal experts around him. To put it bluntly, he couldn't afford to offend anyone here. The Undying Demon King smiled and sat down with big strides, not bothering to be polite. Then Lu Ming, Blue Merchant, Tian, and the others took their seats. Naturally, someone came up to pour wine for them. Lu Ming, where have you been in the past 1,000 years? How is it? Are there many experts out there? Undying Demon King spoke first. Yes, there are indeed many experts out there. Lu Ming nodded. You must have made great progress over the years. I can't see through your cultivation level. Have you broken through to the Divine Emperor realm? Undying Demon King said. To be honest, he was shocked. When he came in, he stared at Lu Ming carefully. He realized that he couldn't see through Lu Ming's cultivation level, which shocked him. Back then, Guemo had placed a seal on him, and he didn't dare to resist Lu Ming. However, now that his cultivation level had been restored to the Divine Emperor realm, he had changed his mind. The Divine Emperor realm was much stronger than the Divine Emperor realm. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming and force Lu Ming to remove the seal on him. However, when he realized that he couldn't see through Lu Ming's cultivation level, he was afraid and temporarily suppressed the idea of attacking. Divine Emperor realm? Hearing Undying Demon King's words, Tian, Holy Thousand King Jingma, and Kong Shishue were shocked and looked at Lu Ming in shock. Could it be that Lu Ming had really reached the Divine Emperor realm? This was too shocking. Their thoughts were similar to Blue Merchant's. It was terrifying to step into the Divine Emperor realm in 1,000 years. For them, the Divine Emperor realm was the synonym of invincibility. You can say that. Lu Ming smiled. It was the same answer that he had given Lan Shang previously. It was still the same sentence. He was afraid that if he said it out loud, it would scare everyone present. You can say that? Undying Demon King was puzzled. The summit. Chapter 45-24. The Undying Demon King was puzzled. Sort of? What did that mean? Did he reach it or not? In 1,000 years, he broke through to the Divine Emperor realm from the Divine Lord realm. This is unbelievable. Could it be that Lu Ming did not break through to the Divine Emperor realm, and was just bluffing? But his aura is unfathomable. Even I can't see through it. Could it be fake? Could it be that he has cultivated some kind of secret technique that can change his aura? That's why I can't see through it. The unkillable Demon King stared at Lu Ming, pondering constantly in his heart. Undying Demon King, why are you looking at me like that? Is there something on my face? Lu Ming said indifferently. Haha, you're really a young hero. Lu Ming, I knew that you're not an ordinary person. You've reached the Divine Emperor realm in such a short time. Coincidentally, my cultivation has also recovered to the Divine Emperor realm. Why don't we have a fight? The Undying Demon King laughed and stood up. His body was surrounded by demonic light, and his aura was imposing. Since he couldn't figure out Lu Ming's cultivation, he might as well try to see what Lu Ming's cultivation was. Anyway, it was just a fight. If Lu Ming really reached the Divine Emperor realm, he would still have room to retreat. Undying Demon King, do you really want to have a fight with me? Lu Ming said indifferently. He glanced at the undying Demon King, and a ray of light flashed in his eyes. A faint killing intent flashed in his eyes. At this moment, the undying Demon King's body suddenly stiffened. His muscles trembled involuntarily, and his skin broke out in cold sweat. A chill ran from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have become an incomparably terrifying beast in his eyes, and he seemed to have become an ant. The ferocious beast was glaring at him like a tiger eyeing its prey, as if it could blow him to death with a casual breath. Terrifying, terrifying, terrifying. Undefeatable, undefeatable, undefeatable. The undying Demon King roared in his heart. His face was covered in cold sweat. He had a feeling that he was nothing more than an ant in front of Lu Ming. If Lu Ming wanted to kill him, he could do it with just a thought. In his heart he was deeply shocked, incomparably shocked, and incomparably incredulous. Lu Ming's killing intent was only directed at the undying Demon King. The others didn't feel it, and it only lasted for a moment before it was withdrawn. Plop! The undying Demon King felt his legs go soft. He couldn't even stand properly, and sat down on the chair. He found that his whole body was drenched in cold sweat. He's definitely a cultivator of the godly emperor layer. He's not just a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer, he's probably already a cultivator of the third godly emperor layer. How did he practice cultivation? It's too terrifying. Undying Demon King roared in his heart. He was sure that Lu Ming had broken through to the godly emperor layer, and was much stronger than him. He had probably broken through to the third godly emperor layer. He was incomparably shocked. This cultivation speed was too terrifying. Undying Demon King, didn't you want to spar? Why are you sitting down? Lu Ming said indifferently. Ha ha ha, I was joking, I was joking. No, I was just joking. Don't be impulsive, young man, don't be impulsive. The undying Demon King laughed guiltily, but his smile was uglier than crying. Blue Merchant, Holy Heavenly King Etian, Kong Shishue, Jingma and the others looked at Lu Ming and the undying Demon King suspiciously and astonishingly. They knew the undying Demon King very well. He was an extremely overbearing and meticulous person. He had just proposed to spar with Lu Ming, so he wouldn't cancel it for no reason. Besides, he was covered in cold sweat and looked like he was about to die. Was he afraid of Lu Ming? Lu Ming was shocked. How powerful was Lu Ming now that he could make the unkillable Demon King, the old demon, so afraid of him without batting an eyelid? They were imagining things. Lu Ming, you're going to stay for a while this time, right? Thousand Holy Old Heavenly King asked after a long while. No, I'll be leaving soon. The main reason I came back this time is to take my parents away from here and cultivate elsewhere, Lu Ming said. Cultivate somewhere else? Is it a higher level place with a better cultivation environment? Blue Merchant and Holy Heavenly King asked quickly. Yes, if you're willing, you can come with me, Lu Ming said. As far as I know, places with better cultivation environments are usually occupied by powerful forces of the universe. It's very dangerous for powerful races to occupy a place. The undying Demon King said. He was a divine emperor, and had gone out to explore in the past. He knew a little about the outside world. Don't worry, I've got a firm foothold now. There won't be any danger. Moreover, the cultivation environment there is 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty, Lu Ming said. What? The cultivation environment there is 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty? The undying Demon King, Holy Heavenly King, Blue Merchant and the others all widened their eyes in shock. 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty. What kind of cultivation environment is that? At the same time, they were very tempted. For example, the undying Demon King, Holy Heavenly King, Etian and Blue Merchant's cultivation had reached a bottleneck. It was too difficult for them to break through. Blue Merchant was better. He still had potential. With the soul cultivating crystal, he might be able to break through to the Divine Emperor realm in the future. However, it was almost impossible for the undying Demon King, Holy Heavenly King and Etian to break through. But they didn't have the courage to leave and go to a more advanced place. If what Lu Ming said was true, that the cultivation environment there was 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty, they really had a chance to break through the bottleneck and take another step forward. especially Holy Heavenly King and Tian, who were both at the Quasi-Emperor realm. If they were one step closer to the Divine Emperor realm, their lifespan would skyrocket. Lu Ming, I'll go with you. Anyway, I'm old and don't have much time left. It's good to go with you. Holy Heavenly King was the first to speak. Lan Shang and Tian were hesitant. They were the Grand Master of the Taishu dynasty and the commander of the Taishu dynasty's army. They were in a high position and were reluctant to give up. In addition, Jingma and Kang Shishue didn't speak. The two of them definitely wouldn't leave. If they left, wouldn't the Taishu dynasty be handed over to others? Lu Ming, I'll go with you too. The undying Demon King thought for a moment and gritted his teeth. All right. Lu Ming nodded. His eyes fell on Blue Merchant and Tian. He said, Are you willing to go with me? I won't force you, but I can guarantee that if you go with me, breaking through to the Divine Emperor realm won't be a problem. When Lu Ming spoke, he revealed strong confidence as if there would be no problem. This made Tian and Blue Merchant excited. All right, I'll go with you, Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming, I'll go with you too. A cultivator should focus on cultivation. I was almost delayed by mundane matters. Tian nodded. Chapter 45-25. The temptation of breaking through to the Divine Emperor realm was too great. In the end, Blue Merchant and Tian decided to give up their power and follow Lu Ming. That hidden dragon Heavenly King. Kang Shishue opened her mouth, looking like she wanted to say something but hesitated. Are you afraid that if Lan Shu and the others follow me, the Taishu dynasty will be empty without any experts? Lu Ming smiled and saw through Kang Shishue's thoughts. Kang Shishue and Jingma nodded repeatedly. In the Taishu Holy Dynasty, the Barbarian tribe, and the Tiani Holy Dynasty, the Quasi-Emperors were the most powerful cultivators. They were the cornerstones of a country. Now there were too few cultivators in the Taishu Holy Dynasty. There was only Blue Merchant, Tian, Holy Old Heavenly King, and the Undying Demon Lord. Although 1,000 years had passed, there was still no new Quasi-Emperor in the Taishu Dynasty. Once these people left with Lu Ming, the strength of the Taishu Dynasty would weaken rapidly. In the future, it would be annexed by the Barbarian tribe and the Tiani Sacred Dynasty. Therefore, Jingma and Kang Shishue were very worried. Don't worry, I have my own plans for this matter, Lu Ming said. With a wave of his hand, 8 wild beasts appeared in the hall. To be precise, 8 wild beast puppets. These 8 puppets have the cultivation of quasi-emperors. They are not afraid of death and are invulnerable. They will be placed in the Taishu dynasty to protect the country's fate and ensure the safety of the Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming said. What? 8 quasi-emperor level puppets? Kang Shishue and Jingma were shocked and then overjoyed. Holy Old Heavenly King and the others could not calm down. This was really a big move. 8 quasi-emperor level puppets were sent out in one go. These puppets were extremely precious. In the history of the Taishu dynasty, there had never been such high-level puppets. Not to mention 8. Even one of them was invaluable. Lu Ming gave 8 of them to Jingma and Kang Shishue. If this was not a big deal, what was? Lu Ming became more and more unfathomable in the hearts of the people. Thank you, Hidden Dragon Heavenly King. Jingma and Kang Shishue quickly got up to thank him. Lu Ming smiled slightly. In fact, there were many such gadgets. He had lost count of how many enemies he had killed and how many rings of holding he had obtained. There were all sorts of things in these storage rings, and there were even more of these puppets. Lu Ming could even take out quite a number of God Thearch realm puppets, let alone quasi-emperor puppets. However, these things were useless to Lu Ming now. Of course, Lu Ming would not give them puppets that were too powerful. For example, he would give them divine emperor puppets. Kang Shishue and Jingma's ambitions might soar, and they might invade other forces. In the end, they would attract the jealousy of more powerful forces and bring about a fatal disaster. Jingma was very likely to be Jingyu's son. Lu Ming naturally did not want anything to happen to them. 8 quasi-emperor level puppets were enough to ensure the stability of the Taishu dynasty. This jade talisman has the method to control the puppets. Lu Ming handed a jade talisman to Kang Shishue. Kang Shishue and Jingma naturally thanked him. Hidden Dragon Heavenly King, Can we send some young people to cultivate with you? Kong Shishue asked tentatively. Lu Ming smiled in his heart. Kong Shishue wanted to cultivate her own forces. However, Lu Ming did not care. The Taishu dynasty was too small. Lu Ming was not interested in it at all. He immediately nodded and said, "Of course. Thank you, Hidden Dragon Heavenly King. Come, let me toast you." Kong Shishue was overjoyed. She raised her cup and drank it in one gulp. Then everyone drank and chatted. The atmosphere was harmonious, especially the Undying Demon Lord. He seemed to have forgotten the unpleasant things that had happened before. After 3 rounds of drinking, Lu Ming got up and said goodbye. "Everyone, please get ready. I'll go back to the Hidden Dragon Palace and pick you up later," Lu Ming said. Then he stepped into the air and left. "Lu Ming, let me see you off," Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming nodded. He knew that Blue Merchant had something to say to him in private. Soon, the two of them left the Taishu Saint capital and stood in the starry sky. "Lan Shu, I have something to ask you too. Is Lan Ling doing well? Why don't I see her in the Taishu Saint capital?" Lu Ming asked. When he mentioned Lan Ling, he could not help but feel guilty. "I was about to tell you about Ling. She's no longer in the Taishu dynasty," Blue Merchant said. "She's no longer in the Taishu dynasty? Where did she go?" Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. "About 200 years after you left, she also left. She said that she wanted to go out to train and improve her cultivation. I don't know where exactly she went. Actually, she's very stubborn. When she decided to leave, even I, as her father, could not stop her. I could only let her go. I wonder how she is now." Sigh. Blue Merchant sighed deeply as he spoke. He suddenly felt that his decision back then was wrong. Back then, he wanted to match Lu Ming and Lan Ling. However, Lu Ming's talent was too high. When his cultivation increased, it was like a hot knife cutting through butter. Now it was even more unfathomable. To put it bluntly, Lan Ling and Lu Ming were not on the same path. The difference in talent was too great. They were not compatible at all. If he had not tried to match Lu Ming and Lan Ling back then, this would not have happened. "Lan Shu, I'm sorry. Lu Ming was full of apologies. He recalled the scene of him bidding farewell to Lan Ling before he left. At that time, Lan Ling stubbornly said that she would catch up to Lu Ming's cultivation. She would definitely catch up to Lu Ming's cultivation. Back then, Lu Ming said that he would wait for her to catch up. Perhaps, it was because of these words that Lan Ling went out to explore. She was really a stubborn girl, just like Mulan's back then. "Lu Ming, you don't have to apologize. Marriage is a matter of mutual love. I was muddle-headed back then." Blue Merchant smiled. Lu Ming was speechless because he really did not know what to say. "Sigh, now I just hope that Ling can be safe." Blue Merchant sighed. The primitive universe was vast and boundless. There were as many universe-level forces as there were hairs on an ox. It was very dangerous to wander in the universe. He only hoped that Lan Ling could be safe. "Lan Shu, don't worry. Lan Ling is a good person. She should be fine. When she succeeds in her cultivation, we will meet again in the future." Lu Ming comforted. "I hope so. Okay, I will go back and prepare. You should go and see your parents," Blue Merchant said, and then went to the Taishu sacred capital. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. He then stepped into the air and headed toward the Heavenly King Mansion. Just as Lu Ming left the Taishu sacred capital, the Wu people's ancestral planet welcomed 2 groups of guests. Everyone in the Wu people, including the ancestral patriarch who had been in seclusion, came out to welcome the guests outside the ancestral planet. These 2 groups of guests were from the 10 most powerful races, the angel race and the blood race. Did you really find out where Lu Ming's family is? An overlord of the angel race stepped out. His body was enveloped in a pure white light, and his energy was so violent that the sky shook. This was a divine Lord Overlord. Chapter 45-26. Feeling the powerful aura of the angel tribe, the people of the sorcerer tribe trembled in fear. Although the witch race was one of the top races in the universe, it was still a far cry from the angel race, one of the top 10 races. There were only 2 people in the sorcerer tribe who could remain calm. They were the 2 ancestral patriarchs of the Wu people, and they were both very old. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely recognize one of them. He was the grand cultivator of the Wu people who had chased Lu Ming to the dragon race's home planet. Lu Ming had killed his descendant, and he had been trying to kill Lu Ming. He had even participated in the attack on the dragon race's home planet. The two ancestral patriarchs of the Wu people were also divine lords, but they were only at the first level of the divine lord realm. On the Great Desolate 10,000 races roll, only the top 100 great races had divine master experts overseeing them. However, those with high cultivation and many years of cultivation knew that the races that were ranked near the top 100 also had divine master realm existences overseeing them. It was just that these people were usually in seclusion all year round. As the existences who were responsible for suppressing the fate of their race, they rarely made a move. The Wu people were ranked around 130th on the roll of 10,000 races, so it was normal for them to have divine lord realm overlords. It's true. After many years of investigation, we finally found where Lu Ming came from. He came from a place called the Taishu dynasty. That's only a pseudo-universal force and it's too remote. No one would have thought that the talented Lu Ming would come from such a remote place, but Lu Ming was indeed born there. Besides, his family and friends are all there, the Divine Lord Realm Overlord said. His name was Wuxia and he was one of the only two Divine Lords of the Wu people. Good, very good. Ha ha ha. As long as we take down Lu Ming's family and hand them over to the Heavenly Palace, Lu Ming will obey us. The Heavenly Palace will reward you handsomely. The Divine Lord of the Angel race laughed. At the side, the Blood Kindred expert also smiled. When the time comes, please put in a good word for us in front of the Heavenly Palace. Wuxia said, revealing a flattering smile. However, he secretly felt that it was a pity. If they had captured Lu Ming's relatives and handed them over to the Heavenly Palace, the rewards from the Heavenly Palace would have gone to the Wu people. However, the Wu people didn't have the right to establish contact with the important figures of the Heavenly Palace. They could only do so through the angels and vampires. However, if he could make a great contribution to the heavenly human tribe, he would definitely be rewarded handsomely. Their hearts burned with passion. Don't worry, there will be plenty of benefits for you. Now let's go, said the angel race's god master. Immediately, the angels, vampires, and Wu people headed towards the Taishu dynasty. The angel race and the blood race each sent out two divine masters. The Wu people had sent out a divine master, Wuxia. With such a lineup, it was a waste of talent to go to a pseudo-universe level force. Of course, this also proved that they valued Lu Ming's relatives. They had to make sure nothing went wrong. As long as they captured Lu Ming's relatives and friends, even if Lu Ming was hiding in the Heaven Destroyer, the Heavenly Palace would be able to force Lu Ming to submit, unless Lu Ming didn't care about the lives of his relatives. However, according to the rumors, Lu Ming was a very loyal person. It could be said that once they captured Lu Ming's relatives, they would have Lu Ming's Achilles heel. Just as the angels, vampires, and Wu people were heading towards the Taishu dynasty, Lu Ming had already arrived at the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King residence. He was too fast. He could cross a planetary zone in one step. Even though the great illusionary divine level was far from the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King residence, Lu Ming arrived quickly. Not bad at all. Lu Ming looked at a planet in the distance. On the planet, there was a dazzling glow. That was the glow of an array. Around the planet, there were huge battleships flying around the planet, surrounding it so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. However, such a defense was useless against Lu Ming. He took a step forward and passed through the layers of defense. He entered the planet and came to the foot of a mountain range. He scanned the area with his spiritual awareness and knew that this mountain range was where his relatives and friends lived. It was also where the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King residence was located. This statue, isn't it Emily? Lu Ming saw a huge statue at the foot of the mountain. It was at least 10,000 feet tall. He immediately recognized that this was the statue of his second disciple, Ouyang Emily. How dare you call Patriarch Emily by his name? Are you tired of living? A few young men shouted and appeared in front of Lu Ming. They looked at Lu Ming with hostility. Lu Ming casually glanced at them. He was very clear about the background of these few young men. The few youths looked like they had just broken through to the empty god realm. Such a cultivation was considered weak in the Taishu holy court. However, they were very arrogant. Patriarch Emoli? This kid has become a patriarch? Lu Ming was confused. Could it be that these few brats were all Ouyang Moli's disciples and grand disciples? In that case, wouldn't they become Lu Ming's disciples and grand disciples? He went out for a trip, and when he came back, he suddenly had a bunch of disciples and grand disciples? Most importantly, these kids are so arrogant. Did Ouyang Emoli teach them? Lu Ming blurted out these words involuntarily. However, when they landed in the ears of the few young men, it was a great disrespect to their patriarch. They immediately exploded. How dare you call Patriarch Emoli a kid? It's over. It's over. Do you know who our Patriarch Emoli is? What is his identity? He actually dares to use such a tone to call Ancestor Moli. He's really finished. Now give him a chance to admit his mistake. Kneel down in front of Patriarch Emoli's statue and kowtow. Patriarch Emoli is a magnanimous man. Maybe he will spare your life. The young men clamored. You want him to admit his mistake in front of the statue? Are you serious? Lu Ming said with an inexplicable smile on his face. Would this kid dare to admit his mistake to Ouyang Emoli? Nonsense, hurry up and admit your mistake. We think it's an unintentional mistake. We will spare you this time. Yes, 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 quickly admit your mistake. You have offended the patriarch. You must admit your mistake. The young men shouted. All right then. Let's see. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward, coming to the front of the statue. Kid, my disciples want me to admit my mistake. I hope you won't cry. After saying that, Lu Ming cupped his fists. Rumble. The moment Lu Ming cupped his fists, the statue shook. Then tears flowed out of the statue's two huge eyes. The statue was crying. Look, the patriarch's statue is crying. What's going on? What's going on? Could it be that kid's doing? Kid, what did you do? You still dare to play tricks at this time. The young men shouted angrily, thinking that it was Lu Ming's trick. Shut up, all of you. At this time a loud roar came from the mountain range. Chapter 45:27. Shut up, you brats. A loud roar came from the depths of the mountain. At the same time, a figure dashed out from the mountain at an extremely fast speed. In the next moment, the figure appeared in front of everyone. He was tall and sturdy, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. Who else could it be other than Ouyang Moli? Old Ancestor, you're here. Old Ancestor, it's him. He offended you. We were about to ask him to admit his mistake, but we didn't expect him to play tricks. The young men pointed at Lu Ming and said, Shut up, all of you. Ouyang Moli roared. His voice was like a thunderclap, and he stared at the young men fiercely like a lion. Ouyang Moli was about to cry. Don't these brats know how to read my face? My face is already so ugly, and they still don't know what's going on? The few young men shuddered at the thought of this. Old Ancestor is angry? Did we do something wrong? Is that person's identity not simple? In the next moment, their pupils rapidly widened because a scene that shocked them had appeared. Plop! Ouyang Moli knelt in front of Lu Ming and kowtowed. Disciple Moli greets Master. Master, you're finally back. I haven't seen you for many years and I've missed you so much. What? The young men were petrified. Their mouths were wide open, and they were completely dumbfounded. Master? Old Ancestor Moli's master? Isn't that their ancestor? According to the legends, Old Ancestor Ouyang Moli's master was the true leader of the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King Mansion. The legendary figure of the Taishu dynasty, the peerless genius? They were actually so arrogant in front of this legendary figure, and even asked him to kowtow to Ouyang Moli's statue to admit his mistake? No wonder Ouyang Moli's statue was crying. They all wanted to cry. You're so impressive now. You're already an old ancestor, and the disciples you taught are still so arrogant? Are you out of control? Lu Ming said indifferently. His voice was a little cold. Oh no, Master is angry. Ouyang Emoli roared in his heart. He was really about to cry. In his heart, he was already cursing those few youths to death. He was not far from this place and could sense the statue. Not long after Lu Ming arrived, he sensed it and immediately rushed over. Unexpectedly, he was still a little late. However, he secretly rejoiced that he had arrived in time. If Lu Ming had really apologized to his statue, he would have vomited blood. Even if he wasn't hammered to death by Lu Ming, he would be hammered to death by his senior martial sister, Xiang Xiang. Master, it's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. You brats. Why aren't you coming over here to kowtow and apologize to your grandmaster? Ouyang Moli shouted. A few young men hurriedly ran over and knelt on the ground, bowing their heads and kowtowing. Patriarch, please calm down. We didn't do it on purpose. We didn't know it was you. If we had known, we wouldn't have dared to do it even if you gave us 10 guts. Ancestor, you are a magnanimous person. Please forgive us. The few young men were crying and snot. There was no need to mention how sad and regretful they were. Master, these brats are used to being fawned on by others. No one dares to offend them in the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King Palace. That's why they're so arrogant. I'll teach them a lesson in the future. Will you forgive them? Actually, they are not bad people. Ouyang Moli put on a cheeky smile and pleaded with Lu Ming. Go. Lu Ming waved his hand casually. He was too lazy to lower himself to the level of a few juniors. It would be beneath his status. However, the most important thing was that these young men were not bad people. This could be seen from their previous actions. The few young men only asked Lu Ming to apologize to Ouyang Moli and let him go. It could be seen that they were not bad people. If they were bad people, they might have wanted to kill him. If that was the case, Lu Ming would not let them go so easily. Master has agreed to let you go. You brats. Why aren't you thanking Master and leaving at once? Ouyang Moli berated. The few youths naturally thanked him profusely and fled as fast as they could. Master, it's great that you're back. Senior sister and the others will be overjoyed if they know that you're back. I'll send them a message. Ouyang Moli immediately took out his sound-conducting jade talisman and sent over a few messages. Master, come with me. Ouyang Moli said with a smile. Lu Ming and Ouyang Moli stepped into the air and headed deep into the mountain range. How did you become a progenitor? Did you recruit a disciple? Lu Ming asked. Haha, Master, at that time, I saw a few very talented seedlings. My hands itched and I accepted them as my disciples. I didn't expect that those brats would also accept a bunch of disciples each. Just like that, they have been passed down. Ouyang Moli explained. No wonder your cultivation is improving so slowly. What about your senior sister? Did she recruit a disciple too? Lu Ming said. He knew that Ouyang Moli was only a 9th-layer heavenly god. Initially, Zhang Xian had predicted that Ouyang Moli would be able to achieve a breakthrough to the God King realm based on the vast amount of resources he had left behind before he left. However, Ouyang Moli was only a 9th-layer heavenly god, which was a lot lower than what he had expected. It was most likely because he had recruited a disciple that affected his cultivation progress. She didn't recruit a disciple and has been focusing on her cultivation. She has already broken through to the Divine King realm. Ouyang Moli said. What about Shen Huang and the others? Did they recruit a disciple? Lu Ming asked again. No, I'm the only one who recruited a disciple. Ouyang Moli said awkwardly. They're here. Lu Ming suddenly looked deep into the mountain range. There were at least a few dozen figures flying over. Lu Ming's eyesight was so sharp that he could see the figures clearly even though they were far away. His parents, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, flew over with smiles on their faces. There was also his son Lu Shenhuang, his wife and his granddaughter, Lu Qi, his first disciple, Xiang Xiang, his 2 unnamed disciples, Hua Qi, Peng Shi, Yuan Huan, and the others who were closest to Lu Ming had all arrived. Soon, dozens of people arrived before them. Minger. Li Ping flew to Lu Ming quickly and sized him up from head to toe. Her eyes were filled with tears and longing. You're a woman, you're always tearing up when you see me. Lu Yuntian pretended to scold her, but his eyes were misty too. He looked at Lu Ming and said, It's great that you're back. Father and mother have both achieved the God realm. Lu Ming scanned with his spiritual sense and discovered that Lu Yuntian and Li Ping had both achieved the God realm. Lu Yuntian had even reached the true God realm. Lu Yuntian had always been fond of cultivation. After coming to the Eldritch universe, he had worked even harder. Although his talent was average, he had also reached the true god realm with Lu Ming's vast resources. As for Li Ping, she didn't like cultivation at all. She was just an ordinary person, and had relied on Lu Ming's resources to increase her cultivation. Chapter 45-28. After entering the immortal state, one would have a long lifespan, at least a stellar year. Lu Ming didn't have to worry about Lu Yuntian and Li Ping's lifespan anymore. Grandpa. As soon as Lu Ming greeted Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, a crisp voice sounded, and a figure jumped into Lu Ming's arms. This figure was naturally Lu Chiahem Chi. Or you're not a little girl anymore. Why are you still acting like a child? Lu Ming coughed and said, Humph, Chi will always be a child in front of Grandpa. Who dares to gossip? Lu Chi snorted coldly. The corners of his mouth rose as he looked around. Lu Yuntian, Ouyang Moli, Yuan Huan and the others burst into laughter. Chi, don't mess around. Lu Shenhuang walked over and scolded with a stern face. However, Lu Chi made a face at Lu Shenhuang and stuck out his tongue. He held onto Lu Ming's arm and refused to let go. Shenhuang, don't worry. Seeing that Lu Shenhuang was about to scold Lu Chi again, Lu Ming raised his hand and stopped Lu Shenhuang. Lu Ming doted on this eccentric granddaughter very much. Shenhuang, your cultivation has fallen behind. Even Chi, is catching up to you. Lu Ming glanced at Lu Shenhuang's cultivation and said, Dad. Lu Shenhuang's face turned red, and he looked a little embarrassed. Grandpa, Dad doesn't like to go out and take risks, but I'm different. I travel and adventure. I want to be as great as Grandpa in the future. Lu Chi waved her little fist and said, This guy didn't hesitate to betray his biological father. Lu Ming nodded. He noticed that Lu Shenhuang's cultivation had just reached the immortal king realm. Lu Chi's cultivation had reached the 9th level of the heavenly god realm, similar to Ouyang Moli. Logically speaking, Lu Shenhuang's talent was the highest among the juniors, even higher than Xiang Xiang, Ouyang Moli, and Lu Chi. However, his cultivation was only slightly higher than Ouyang Moli and Lu Chi, but not as high as Lu Xiang Xiang. Lu Chi was right. Lu Shenhuang didn't like to travel or take risks. He liked to be with his family. It was better when he was young, especially after he got married and had a family. On the other hand, Lu Chi was a mischievous person who liked to take risks and travel everywhere. It was just that he lacked some opportunities, otherwise his cultivation would be even higher. Chi, are you married? Lu Ming asked curiously. Lu Chi was not young anymore. He had long reached the age where he could get married. No, there are a lot of people pursuing me, but I don't like any of them. Lu Chi shook his head. Father, this girl's standards are very high. She said that she wants to find a genius like father. Where can she find one? When you come back, you have to discipline her. I have a headache. Lu Shenhuang mumbled, causing Lu Chi to give him a sidelong glance. The others burst into laughter. Master. A fragrant wind drifted over. Xiang Xiang slowly walked over and bowed to Lu Ming. Lu Xiang Xiang wasn't the little girl she used to be. She looked like she was in her 20s. Her figure was slim, and her beauty was outstanding. She wasn't below Autumn Moon, Huangling, and the others. Xiang Xiang, your cultivation base isn't bad. Lu Ming nodded satisfactorily. Among them, only Xiang Xiang's cultivation base satisfied Lu Ming. 6th King God Realm. This was Lu Xiang Xiang's cultivation base. Her cultivation speed was already amazing. Xiang Xiang's talent was amazing, and her willpower was even stronger. She had been following in Lu Ming's footsteps, constantly moving forward. It's a pity that she lacks some opportunities. I can bring her to the ruins of the universe and let her practice more. Her cultivation base will have an explosive period. Lu Ming pondered. Next, Lu Ming exchanged a few pleasantries with the rest. They chatted as they walked. Soon, they arrived at a large hall. Naturally, someone set up a banquet to welcome Lu Ming. During the banquet, Lu Ming also explained his purpose for coming back this time. He wanted to bring everyone away and head to a cultivation place that was 100 times better than the Taishu sacred dynasty. In fact, Lu Ming was not exaggerating. The base of the Heaven Exterminating Army in the ruins of the universe had Origin Realm powerhouses who had improved the environment and created a sacred cultivation ground. The actual cultivation conditions were probably 100 times better than those in the Taishu sacred dynasty. Everyone was moved. At the same time, they were extremely tempted. A place 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty? What kind of place was that? Wouldn't their cultivation base advance by leaps and bounds if they cultivated there? Immediately, everyone agreed. They trusted Lu Ming completely. Moreover, cultivation was the most important goal for cultivators. They were different from ordinary people. Ordinary people were particular about staying in a place for a long time. They would treat that place as their root and would not leave easily. However, cultivators were different. In order to increase their cultivation base, they would travel and train everywhere. They would go to some dangerous places. They didn't have a fixed residence. Their goal was to increase their cultivation base. Therefore, if there was a place 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty, everyone wanted to go. They were all looking forward to it. As for the hidden dragon Heavenly King's residence, it was nothing compared to the increase in cultivation. Any one of them would be able to manage it. All right then. You can start preparing. I have a treasure that can form its own world. It's extremely huge. You can take it with you as many people as you want. Those who want to go together can go together. Lu Ming said. All right. Everyone nodded and left one after another to make preparations. Lu Yintian and Li Ping didn't leave. They had nothing to prepare. They just wanted to chat with Lu Ming and talk about what Lu Ming had been through during this time. Oh right, Ming. Or where are Xiaoqing and Autumn Moon? How have they been all these years? Have you seen them? Li Ping asked. The two of them were her daughter-in-law, and they hadn't seen each other for many years. Naturally, she missed them very much. Especially Autumn Moon, who was obedient. They had watched her grow up. Back then, Autumn Moon had gone missing while searching for Lu Ming. They were extremely worried because there had been no news of her for so many years. Father, Mother, don't worry. Xiaoqing and Autumn Moon are fine. They are waiting for us at the place we are going. Lu Ming smiled. Good, that's great. Hearing that Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon were fine, and that they would be able to meet soon, the old couple was very happy. Father, Mother, let me introduce you to someone. Lu Ming said. With a wave of his hand, Autumn Moon appeared in front of the old couple. This is... The old couple sized up Ling Yue, and were both stunned by her appearance and temperament. As the elf princess, Ling Yue had once been ranked as one of the 20 most beautiful women in the universe. There was nothing to say about her temperament and appearance. Father, Mother, her name is Ling Yue. She is the princess of the universe's great elves, and also your future daughter-in-law. As Lu Ming introduced her, he walked to Ling Yue's side and held her small hand. Hearing Lu Ming's introduction, Ling Yue's face turned red like an apple. She looked even more beautiful as she bowed to the old couple and said, Yue greets uncle and aunt. Chapter 45-29. Looking at Ling Yue, Lu Yintian and Li Ping were in a daze. It took them a while to react. Li Ping hurriedly held Ling Yue's hand and looked up and down. Her face was full of smiles as she said, Good. Ling Yue only blushed and lowered her head, not knowing what to say. Yue, you should enter the Great Desolate Ring first. I still have something to say to my parents. Lu Ming said. He mainly wanted to avoid Ling Yue from feeling awkward. And all right. Ling Yue quickly nodded. She felt that the pressure from facing Lu Yintian and Li Ping was even greater than facing the Lord of Heaven. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the Great Desolate Ring produced a suction force, sending Ling Yue back into the ring. Cough, Ming, aren't you too fickle in love? You already have Autumn Moon and Xiaoqing. I remember that Miss Mulins and Miss Huangling were also quite close to you. Why did you find another elf princess now? Lu Yintian coughed dryly. What's wrong with that? It's normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Moreover, my Ming'er is so outstanding, it's normal for girls to like him. Li Ping immediately spoke up for Lu Ming. In her heart, the more daughter-in-law, the better. Is it normal for a man to have 3 wives and 4 concubines? Then should I also? Lu Yintian muttered. What did you say? Li Ping's voice suddenly rose as her eyes widened. Ahaha, no nothing? Pinger, you look so good today, haha. Lu Yintian hurriedly laughed to cover it up. Humph. Li Ping snorted coldly. Lu Ming snickered at the side. So this father of his was actually so afraid of his wife. This was the first time he had discovered it. Little brat, you're gloating, aren't you? If you dare to say a single word about what happened today, I won't forgive you. Lu Yuntian sent a sound transmission to Lu Ming, flying into a rage out of humiliation. Lu Ming's smile immediately disappeared, and he pretended as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't seen anything. After that, Li Ping asked about Lu Ming's experiences over the years. Lu Ming only talked about a part of it. Of course, Lu Ming would not talk about the dangerous parts. For example, being captured by the heavenly human race and sent to the heavenly prison. Very quickly 2 days passed. Outside the hidden Dragon Royal Palace, there was a vast and spacious area filled with people. These were all people who wanted to follow Lu Ming to the new place. The total number of people added up to at least 10 million. After more than 1,000 years of development, as well as the time when he was in the chaotic Star River, Lu Ming's family and friends had a lot of people. Putting everything else aside, just the Lu clan alone had been passed down for dozens of generations, and had an astonishing number of people. There were also the descendants of Hua Qi and Pang Shi, who were already a colossus. Tens of millions of people were not a lot. Of course, not everyone left with Lu Ming. Some people were reluctant to give up the power here, and decided to stay. For example, a portion of the Lu family intended to stay behind. Lu Ming did not reject them, and allowed them to continue managing the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King Mansion. Lu Ming also left behind a few quasi-emperor puppets to help them guard the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King Mansion. Lu Ming would not force them to stay or leave. He only wanted the people closest to him to go with him. He did not care about the others. After all, they had brought all the living beings from the primordial realm, out of the heaven realm. Now they were scattered in the chaotic Star River, the Qintian Starfield, and the Taishu dynasty. The number was shocking. Lu Ming did not care about these people anymore. He would let them develop on their own. Lu Ming would not reject those who wanted to go with Lu Ming. For example, the ancestor of techniques, the ancestral dragon, the 9 lives demonic silkworm, the Titan longhorn beetle, and a group of old comrades who had fought together with him in the past. They were all willing to go with Lu Ming. Lu Ming naturally would not reject them. Gate open. Lu Ming stood in the air and shouted. He activated the ancient desolation ring with all his might. Suddenly, a huge whirlpool appeared in the sky. It was 1,000 miles wide. Go in. Lu Ming's voice rang out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The densely packed silhouettes soared into the sky and disappeared into the vortex. The 1,000 miles wide whirlpool was shocking. Tens of millions of living beings entered the ancient desolation ring in no time. Only Lu Ming was left in this area. To the Taishu sacred capital. Lu Ming took a step forward and headed towards the Taishu sacred capital. However, before Lu Ming left, the Taishu sacred capital was already in danger. The experts from the Angel tribe, the Blood tribe, and the Wu people had already surrounded the Taishu sacred capital. Jingma Kong Shishue, the Undying Demon King, the Holy Old Heavenly King, Yi Tian, and the rest were trembling in fear in front of the experts from the 3 tribes. It was mainly because the other party was too terrifying. When the other party arrived, the strongest army of the Taishu dynasty could not withstand a single blow. The other party only sent one person, and only used one move to wipe out the 100,000 strongest army of the Taishu dynasty. Nothing was left. Even the Undying Demon King was drenched in cold sweat when facing the person who attacked. He was extremely terrified. The other party was too powerful. The Undying Demon King knew that he was no match for the other party. If he attacked, he would only die. He would end up like the 100,000 strong army. Moreover, this was only one of the hundreds of people who had walked out casually. The Angel tribe, the legendary Angel tribe. Jingma Kong Shishue, the Undying Demon King, and the rest were terrified. They could recognize the person who attacked because he had extended his angel wings. The enemy they were facing was the legendary Angel tribe. Although the Taishu dynasty was extremely remote, they had heard rumors about the Angel tribe. They were the overlords of the universe. They were extremely powerful and dominated thousands of star regions in the universe. Compared to the Angel tribe, The Taishu dynasty was like the difference between an ant and a divine dragon. The other party could wipe out the Taishu dynasty with a single breath. Now such a powerful person was actually looking for them. Was the Taishu sacred dynasty going to be finished? Jingma and Kang Shishue turned pale. May I know why all of you have come to the Great Void Holy Court? Jingma asked in a low voice. We're here to find Lu Ming. An elder from the angel tribe spoke. This elder was a divine master realm expert from the angel tribe, named Yelu Chuan. You don't have to deny it. We found out that Lu Ming is from the Taishu dynasty. His family and friends are all in the Taishu dynasty. Tell us, where are Lu Ming's family and friends? Yelu Chuan continued. Are they Lu Ming's enemies? At this moment, Jingma Kang Shishue, the undying demon king, Blue Merchant, and the 1,000 holy old heavenly king were moved. The difference was that Lan Shang and old heavenly king Qiansheng were extremely anxious. Lu Ming had actually provoked such an enemy, and was about to face a calamity. They were extremely anxious and wanted to send a message to Lu Ming, asking him to bring his family and leave. However, under the surveillance of the angel tribe, the blood race and the Wu people, they couldn't do it. Chapter 45-30. Everyone from the Taishu dynasty had many thoughts in their minds, but no one said a word. You'd better tell us quickly. Otherwise, the Taishu dynasty will be annihilated. Yelu Chuan said. You want us to betray Heavenly King Hidden Dragon? Dream on. If you want to kill us, then kill us. At this moment, a brawny man shouted. This man was a general of the Taishu dynasty, an 8th-level divine lord. He had received Lu Ming's favor back then, and was loyal to Lu Ming. How dare you disrespect the divine lord? You're courting death. A brawny man from the angel race shouted coldly as his eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Bang! The 8th-level divine lord general of the Taishu holy court exploded, his body and soul destroyed. Lan Shang, undying demon king, and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't even see how the brawny man from the angel race attacked. They only heard him shout, and the body of an 8th-level divine lord of the Taishu dynasty exploded. What kind of method was that? Silently killing an 8th-level divine lord without making a sound, making the other party unable to fight back. Even the undying demon king couldn't do it. The difference was too great. The experts of the angel race were unfathomable. Apart from the angel race, there were 2 other forces that were also terrifying. How could they fight against such enemies? And what kind of realm was the divine lord? Jingma, Kang Shishue, Blue Merchant, Undying Demon King and the others were confused. They had never heard of the divine lord realm. Blue Merchant, 1,000 holy old heavenly king, and the others only knew of the divine emperor realm. In their eyes, the divine emperor realm was the synonym of invincibility. When Undying Demon King was at his peak, he had gone out to explore the universe. However, he only went to a few of the bigger forces and the strongest he knew was the divine lord realm. Was the divine lord realm a higher realm? I advise you not to hide anything. Our strength isn't something you can guess. If you don't tell us, you'll end up miserable. Yelu Chuan said coldly. Jingma, Kang Shishue, and the Undying Demon King all looked hesitant. For Jingma and Kang Shishue, Lu Ming was their savior. It could be said that without Lu Ming, they wouldn't be where they were today. If it was not necessary, they would not betray Lu Ming. As for the Undying Demon King, he was very afraid of Lu Ming because of the anti-magic restriction placed on him by the Bone Devil. If he really betrayed Lu Ming and Lu Ming didn't die, then he would be in trouble. As for Blue Merchant, Holy Old Heavenly King, and Etian, they would never betray Lu Ming. Therefore no one spoke for a while. Looks like you guys are still holding on to hope. Don't you know what I'm capable of? Yelu Chuan said coldly. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed at the universe. Then Jingma Kang Shishue, Undying Demon King, Blue Merchant, Holy Old Heavenly King, and the others narrowed their eyes and opened their mouths in shock. Huge stars could be seen hanging in the distant starry sky of the universe. At this moment, 5 huge stars suddenly moved towards them. They were very fast. Soon, not far from Taishu's sacred capital, 5 huge stars appeared. They emitted terrifying heat, causing the temperature of the area to rise rapidly. Obviously, these 5 stars had been captured by Yeluchuan from a distance. However, this was not the most shocking thing. The most shocking thing was yet to come. When the 5 stars approached Taishu's sacred capital, they began to shrink rapidly. It was as if there was an invisible force shrouding the 5 stars and compressing them, causing them to shrink continuously. Soon, the 5 stars were compressed into 5 round balls the size of walnuts. They were fiery red like 5 fiery red crystal beads, and fell into Yeluchuan's hand. Kacha, kacha. Yeluchuan held the 5 round balls in his hand and slowly played with them. When the people of the Taishu dynasty saw this, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They were almost scared to death. Shock, incomparable shock, heartless and endless shock. God, what kind of power is this? Those were 5 incomparably huge stars, but with a casual grab from Yeluchuan, they were compressed into 5 walnut-sized balls that he could grasp in his hand. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would never have dreamed that there was such a powerful person in the universe. What kind of cultivation was this? What kind of power was this? This level of strength was already inconceivable. An ordinary Sir God, if he attacked with all his strength, could cause a devastating blow to a planet. A battle between several slightly stronger divine lords could even blow up an ordinary planet with life. Of course, this referred to ordinary planets with life. Moreover, there were no defensive formations set up on them. A quasi-emperor level existence could easily blow up an ordinary planet with life. However, stars were different. The size of a star was often tens of thousands of times larger than an ordinary planet. It could even be hundreds of thousands or even millions of times larger. It was too difficult to blow up a star. Quasi-emperors would never be able to do it. Even a divine emperor like Undying Demon could not do it. However, it was just destroying a star. Compared to the difficulty of grabbing 5 stars, compressing them into the size of walnuts, and playing with them in his hand, it was simply incomparable. The difference was like the difference between a candle flame and a bright moon. This kind of means was simply beyond the scope of their imagination. Was this the power of the angel clan, the overlord of the universe? This was too terrifying. Lu Ming had actually offended such a powerful person. There was only one outcome for him, and that was to be dead. Blue Merchant, Holy Old Heavenly King Etian, and the others looked pale. They were worried about Lu Ming. Jingma Kong Shishue, and Undying Demon's eyes began to flicker. They were deep in thought. I'll give you a chance. Tell me the whereabouts of Lu Ming's family. Not only will I not kill you, but I will also reward you with a supreme opportunity. I don't have much time. Tell me quickly. Yeluchuan said lightly. The struggle in Jingma, Kong Shishue, and Undying Demon's eyes became more intense. They did not want to say anything, but the other party was too strong. Even if they did not say anything, they could not stop him from searching their souls. At most we will die. Everyone, I believe in Lu Ming. He will avenge us. Blue Merchant roared. His eyes were filled with determination. You're courting death. The Angel Clan burly man who attacked previously roared. An invisible force pressed on Blue Merchant. With Blue Merchant's cultivation, he would definitely not be able to block this person's attack. He would die on the spot like the previous 8th level Divine Lord General. However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded. I think you're the one courting death. Then the space in front of Blue Merchant directly cracked. A figure suddenly emerged. The power of the Angel Clan's attack fell on this person, but it did not cause any ripples. Chapter 45-31. The person who had suddenly appeared was naturally Lu Ming. He had left the Hidden Dragon Heavenly King Palace and broken the void. His speed was astonishing. In a short while, he had arrived at the Taishu Sacred Capital. As soon as he arrived at the Taishu Sacred Capital, he saw the angel trying to kill Blue Merchant. Lu Ming was enraged. He shouted furiously and broke the void to appear in front of Blue Merchant. He blocked the attack for Blue Merchant. At the same time, a spear light suddenly appeared above the angel's head. The angel only had the cultivation of the first great supreme god layer. The difference between him and Lu Ming was too great. How could he block Lu Ming's attack? The Divine Lord of the Angel Clan had never thought that Lu Ming would suddenly appear. He wanted to save him, but it was too late. Poof. The angel's head was pierced through by the spear light. His soul was destroyed and he died on the spot. His corpse was sucked into the Taishu sacred capital and smashed into the city wall. This, Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. He killed the angel clan's expert? Jingma Kong Shishue, the undying demon king, Blue Merchant and the others immediately noticed Lu Ming. They were astonished. Lu Ming had actually killed the burly man from the angel clan just now? Moreover, he had killed him in one move. The angel clan's expert strength had left a deep impression on them. He had silently killed an 8th great supreme god expert. His strength was unfathomable. He was definitely stronger than the undying demon king. Such an expert could easily destroy a force like the Taishu dynasty. He was an existence that was far beyond their reach. He was also an existence that was incomparably terrifying. Such an existence had been killed by Lu Ming in one move. After recovering from their shock, they took a deep breath. Lu Ming is already so strong. It seems like I have seriously underestimated him. Blue Merchant sighed in his heart. He's too strong. In just 1,000 years, Lu Ming has actually reached such a level. It's simply incredible. No wonder he was able to reshape the structure of the Taishu dynasty. He's even more amazing than Jingyu back then. Kong Shishue was also amazed. Especially the undying demon king, who could not help but break out in cold sweat. Because he remembered that a few days ago, he seemed to have provoked Lu Ming, and wanted to spar with Lu Ming. He even wanted to take down Lu Ming, and have Lu Ming remove the anti-magic restriction on him. Thinking of this, he felt a lingering fear. His strength was too far from Lu Ming's. Wanting to spar with Lu Ming with this kind of strength. Wasn't that just looking for a beating? Fortunately, he sensed Lu Ming's terrifying aura and stopped in time. At first, he thought that Lu Ming should have at least reached the 3rd godly emperor layer, but now he realized that he had underestimated Lu Ming. Could it be that Lu Ming has already reached the high-level godly emperor layer, or even the legendary divine emperor layer? But he has only been away for 1,000 years. How is that possible? The undying demon king could not figure it out. Lu Ming. It's Lu Ming. The angels, the Blood Clan, and the Wu people were also shocked. They had come here to capture Lu Ming's family and friends, and then hand them over to the heavenly human clan to threaten Lu Ming. They had never thought that Lu Ming himself would be there too. Great haha. Yelu Chuan reacted quickly and couldn't help but laugh wildly. The Blood Clan and the Wu people also reacted the same way. If Lu Ming was there, why would they capture Lu Ming's family and friends? Wouldn't it be more meritorious for them to capture Lu Ming and hand him over to the heavenly human clan? Bang! One of the Blood Clan's divine lords stepped into the air, exuding a terrifying aura. Under this aura, the entire starry sky was trembling. Then Wuxia, Yelu Chuan, and the others of the Wu people also released powerful qi. Rumble. It was as if the sky and the earth had turned upside down. The sun and the moon had sunk, and the boundless starry sky was shaking. The stars in the distance were shaking as if they were about to fall. The qi of a godly master was too terrifying. Lu Ming used forbidden strength to envelop Blue Merchant and the others. Otherwise, they would not be able to withstand such a powerful qi and would be crushed to death. Haha, as the saying goes, a well-intentioned flower doesn't bloom, but an unintentional willow grows. Lu Ming, you delivered yourself to me. Good, very good, very good. Yelu Chuan laughed. Lu Ming, surrender yourself without putting up a fight. A godly master of the Blood Clan said. You want to capture me with just you? Haha. Lu Ming sneered. To be honest, he didn't take these people seriously. These people actually found this place, making him feel waves of lingering fear in his heart. Fortunately, he had come back early. If he had come back a few days later, not only would the Taishu dynasty be in danger, but his family and friends would also be in danger. He had put these people on his must-kill list. In his heart, they were already dead. Ha, Lu Ming, you're too arrogant. I admit that you're very talented. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that you're the best in the universe. But do you really think you can fight against me? Yelu Chuan sneered confidently. Lu Ming's cultivation was merely at the 9th level of the Emperor God realm. Yes, he didn't know that Lu Ming had broken through to the Godly Master realm. The heavenly human race knew that Lu Ming had broken through to the godly master realm in the life-soul heavenly court. However, in the eyes of the heavenly human race, the blood clan, and the other races were just slaves. The heavenly human race didn't have the habit of ruling over their slaves. In fact, Lu Ming had broken through to the godly master realm not long ago. Even among the heavenly human race, only a few people knew about it. The angels, the blood clan, and the Wu people didn't know that Lu Ming had broken through to the godly master realm. They still thought that Lu Ming was a 9th-level divine god. Moreover, Yelu Chuan was a 2nd-level divine lord, not a 1st-level divine lord. Naturally, he didn't put Lu Ming under pressure. You can try. Lu Ming said indifferently. Don't overestimate yourself. Kneel. Yelu Chuan shouted and slapped down. This palm was 100 times more dazzling than the sun. A huge palm formed in the sky and pressed down on Lu Ming. When the palm struck out, the starry sky trembled. The universe couldn't withstand such a terrifying power. Huge cracks appeared and stretched endlessly. Some of the stars, including the stars, directly exploded. Terrifying, too terrifying. This kind of attack could destroy the world. Jingma, Kong Shishue, Undying Demon King, and the others couldn't help but tremble under the attack. Deep fear rose in their hearts. Helplessness. Under such an attack, they felt a deep sense of helplessness. No matter what they did, they could not escape. There was only death. Their souls would scatter, and they would be turned into ashes. It's over. Jingma, Kong Shishue, Undying Demon King, and the others thought. Lu Ming go. Don't worry about us. Blue Merchant shouted. However, Lu Ming still had a faint smile on his face. Lan Shu, it's okay. I'll go take their heads. Lu Ming smiled. Then, a terrifying aura erupted from his body as if a volcano had erupted. Then he punched. Chapter 45-32. Lu Ming threw a punch. A bright fist force erupted, piercing through the void and colliding with Yelu Chuan's condensed palm. It directly pierced through Yelu Chuan's fist force. Your cultivation. How is that possible? Yelu Chuan couldn't believe it, shouting in shock. Lu Ming's aura burst out, revealing his cultivation level. Divine Lord Realm. Lu Ming's cultivation level was at the Divine Lord Realm. Yelu Chuan was shocked, as were the experts of the angel race, the blood race, and the Wu people. When he was in the Grand Supreme Immortal City, Lu Ming's cultivation level was only at the 9th level of the Emperor God realm. According to reliable sources, Lu Ming's cultivation level had just broken through to the 9th level of the Emperor God realm. He had not been in the 9th level of the Emperor God realm for a long time. Lu Ming had accumulated so much in just a few years. He had broken through to the Divine Lord realm. Jingma, Kong Shishue, the Immortal Demon King, Blue Merchant, and the others were also shocked. Lu Ming's aura was too terrifying, giving them a feeling that it was boundless, unfathomable, and unfathomable. Yelu Chuan's horrifying palm strike, that seemingly irresistible palm strike, was actually defeated by Lu Ming's punch. Was this Lu Ming's real strength? They couldn't calm down. Old man, I'll send you to hell. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning, emitting cold killing intent. He took a step forward and charged towards Yelu Chuan. All the cells in his body trembled. Vast and boundless taboo power surged out continuously, converging into a vast ocean-like power that surged toward Lu Ming's fists. Boom! Lu Ming punched again, shattering the void. The terrifying fist energy pierced through the universe and headed towards Yelu Chuan. Before the fist energy reached him, the pressure from the void had already pressed down on some of the angel race, the blood race, and the Wu people. These people had pained looks on their faces as they howled in pain. Cracks could be seen on the surface of these people's bodies. Under the terrifying pressure, their bodies became distorted and deformed, and finally, with a bang, they exploded. Before the fist force arrived, more than 20 people from the 3 races were killed by the pressure of the fist force. All of this took a long time to describe, but it actually happened in an instant. In an instant, the fist energy closed in on Yelu Chuan, locking him in place. Angel Battle Sword. Yelu Chuan roared. 10 angelic wings appeared on his back. Holy light soared to the sky as an angelic sword flew out, slashing out a terrifying sword light that collided with Lu Ming's fist energy. Boom. With a deafening boom, Yelu Chuan's body was sent flying, crashing into a distant planet. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His face was extremely pale. A large hole had been blasted in his chest. His front and back were completely transparent. His body had almost been blasted into two. In one move, Yelu Chuan was severely injured. This time, the remaining people of the Angels, the Blood Tribe, and the Sorcerer Tribe were all stunned. Yelu Chuan was a second-level Divine Lord, but he was severely injured in one move. How could Lu Ming's battle strength be so terrifying? Run! Leave this place. We're no match for him. Then the Angels, vampires, and Wu people panicked. They roared and tried to escape. Although the three races had 5 Divine Lords and the vampires had a second-level Divine Lord, they knew that even if they worked together, they were no match for Lu Ming. You can't escape. Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. He activated the battle character manual, increasing his battle strength by 7 times. He waved his hands, and a continent appeared in the sky. The second move of his self-created secret technique, the primordial desolate form. In an instant, the continent expanded rapidly. It was even larger than the great illusionary Saint Realm. It covered the sky and the sun, enveloping all the people of the 3 races. Then he pressed down. Kaboom! The violent energy shook the heavens and the earth. The people of the 3 races had nowhere to run. Block it! Let's attack together! A Divine Lord from the Blood Race roared. He transformed into his true form, which was a giant bat. When he spread his wings, they were tens of thousands of miles long. Moreover, the bat's wings were golden. When he flapped his wings, there was an explosion of bloody light. This was a second-layer Divine Master, and his terrifying aura made Lan Shang, Undying Demon King, and the others turn pale. In addition, there was another first-level Divine Lord from the Blood Race. He also transformed into his true form. The other Masters of the Blood Race also transformed into their true forms. The Angels of the Angel Race spread their wings. Holy light spread out and illuminated the sky. The Wu people also attacked with all their might. Black fog filled the sky. The Masters of the 3 races joined forces and attacked the primordial desolate continent with the strongest attack of their lives. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. The universe shook violently. Then the attacks of the 3 races collapsed. They couldn't stop Lu Ming's attack at all. Screams rang out. The bodies of the Masters below the Divine Lord realm of the 3 races exploded. Their souls were destroyed by the powerful force. They died on the spot. When the primordial desolate continent pressed down, all the Masters below the Divine Lord realm of the 3 races died. Only 4 Divine Master realm existences were still alive. There was a first-level Divine Lord from the Angel race, a second-level Divine Lord and a first-level Divine Lord from the Blood race, and Wuxia from the Wu people. The 4 of them trembled violently, especially the 3 first-level Divine Lords. Cracks appeared on their skin, and they spat out mouthfuls of blood. The second-level Divine Lord from the Blood race was also injured. One of his golden wings was destroyed. This, Blue Merchant, Jingma, Kong Shishue, Undying Demon King, Thousand Saint Old Heavenly King, and the others had their mouths wide open. They were completely stunned and petrified. At this moment, they felt as if their brains had turned into mush. They couldn't understand what was going on. The shock in his heart could not be greater. One move. With just one move, only a few of the hundreds of Masters were left. Those Masters who seemed to be lawless and as vast as the abyss, as if they could destroy the universe, were also injured by Lu Ming's attack. As for the others, they died immediately. There were hundreds of Masters, and each of them seemed to have terrifying strength. Just now, several hundred people had joined forces to erupt, and each of them had displayed incomparably terrifying strength. They felt that any one of them was stronger than Undying Demon King. Any one of them could defeat the Taishu dynasty, the Barbarian race, and the Tianyi Sacred dynasty. So many Masters, and they had joined forces, but they were killed by Lu Ming with one move. Lu Ming's strength was so strong that it was unimaginable. Undying Demon King's body kept trembling. He was afraid. Previously, he wanted to fight with Lu Ming, but he was simply overestimating himself. He was courting death. Lu Ming might be able to crush him into smithereens and destroy his body and soul. Jingma, Kong Shixue, and the others were also shocked. It had only been 1,000 years since Lu Ming left the Taishu dynasty, and he had reached such an unbelievable level. Was he still human? Chapter 45-33. The power is too scattered. It's indeed much weaker. Lu Ming frowned when he saw that the 4 divine masters were still alive. He wasn't satisfied with the power of the Eldritch Barren Land style. He had made the Eldritch Barren Land extremely large with the purpose of covering the hundreds of masters of the 3 races, and ensuring that no one could escape. The larger the area, the less powerful it was. Although it was more than enough to kill beings below the God Emperor realm, it wasn't enough to kill divine masters. Several divine masters joined forces to resist, but they were only injured and didn't die. But this is enough. Lu Ming made a grabbing motion in the air, condensing a long spear. He took a step forward, charging towards Yelu Chuan at lightning speed. The long spear pressed down like a mountain, covering the sky and enveloping Yelu Chuan. Yelu Chuan was severely injured and couldn't escape at all. That cold and terrifying murderous aura made Yelu Chuan's heart turn cold. No, don't kill me. I'm a member of the heavenly human race. If you kill me, the heavenly human race won't let you go. Yelu Chuan shouted in fear. Yes, he was from the angel race. His surname wasn't originally this, but he was loyal to the heavenly human race and had made great contributions, so the heavenly human race gave him the surname. This was an extremely honorable thing for all the races in the universe. Being given a surname by the heavenly human race meant that he was half a member of the heavenly human race. He would be respected by all the races in the universe. In fact, this was also a way for the heavenly human race to win people over. The heavenly human race would give surnames to those who had made great contributions and were loyal to the heavenly human race. This was also a way to control the other races. However, Yelu Chuan was desperate. He used the heavenly human race to threaten Lu Ming. Didn't he know that the forbidden body was the enemy of the heavenly human race? If he used the heavenly human race to threaten Lu Ming, he would die even if he didn't. Ridiculous. Lu Ming said coldly. He didn't stop attacking. The long spear pressed down at an even faster speed and finally hit Yelu Chuan's body. Yelu Chuan let out an unwilling scream. Then his body exploded and his soul was destroyed. A second-level divine master was killed just like that. You want to leave? Then Lu Ming's gaze swept over the surroundings, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. This was because the other 4 divine masters had already fled in all directions. They fled in 4 different directions at an extremely fast speed. Tei Bai was the blood race expert at the 2nd level of the divine master realm. With a flap of his wings, he tore open the starry sky and traveled through the void. In a flash, he was already 1,000,000 miles away. However, how could Lu Ming let them escape? The war god's spear appeared in his hand and taboo energy gushed into it. Whoosh! The war god spear charged toward the 2nd-level divine master of the blood race. Too fast. The war god spear was fast to the extreme. It rushed into the dark void and disappeared. But a moment later, a scream came from the distant starry sky, and then a massive figure appeared. It was the blood race 2nd-layer divine lord. However, at that moment, that person's head had already exploded. There was no sound at all. Evidently, he was already dead. At the same time that Lu Ming threw out the war god spear, Lu Ming used the greater teleportation technique and appeared in front of the Wu people's Wuxia. The 3 first-level divine masters had been severely injured by the Desolate Era's attack, so their speed was greatly affected. Lu Ming caught up with them easily. Lu Ming! Wuxia was shocked and quickly retreated, his heart filled with fear. Back then, he had pursued Lu Ming all the way to the dragon race's mother planet. Back then, the ant that was not worth mentioning in his eyes had now grown to such a level, and could easily kill him. Lu Ming didn't waste any time. The moment he appeared, he threw out a punch. Wuxia roared, his voice stern. He used all his strength to resist, but it was useless. The difference in strength between him and Lu Ming was too great. Moreover, he was injured. With a bang, Wuxia's body exploded. Humph! The substitution technique is useless in front of me, Lu Ming said coldly. He bent his fingers into a claw and grabbed at the void. The void collapsed and a scream could be heard. Lu Ming grabbed a figure out of the void. It was Wuxia. It turned out that Wuxia had used the Wu people's substitution technique. Lu Ming had only killed Wuxia's substitution puppet with one punch. His original body had already escaped into the void and wanted to take the opportunity to escape. However, none of his actions could escape Lu Ming's eyes. He grabbed Wuxia and pulled him out. "No, don't kill me," Wuxia shouted in fear. However, Lu Ming's eyes were cold, and he didn't want to waste time talking to him. He clenched his hand, and a violent energy surged into Wuxia's body. Wuxia's body exploded and his soul was destroyed. As soon as Wuxia died, the war god spear flew back to Lu Ming's hand and was caught by Lu Ming. Swish! Lu Ming swung the war god spear again, and it flew toward the other first-level divine lord of the blood race. As for himself, he used the greater teleportation technique and charged toward the first-level divine lord of the angel race. The slight delay in killing Wuxia had allowed the two first-level divine lords to escape far away. However, Lu Ming was confident that the war god spear was enough to kill the first-level divine lord of the blood race. After Lu Ming had infused the war god spear with forbidden energy, it had become extremely powerful. Moreover, the war god spear was a top-grade origin-grade divine weapon and possessed a powerful spirituality. It was more than enough to kill an injured first-level divine lord of the blood race. Swish! 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 Lu Ming hurriedly chased after the angel. The distance between the two of them was constantly closing. Too terrifying. Lu Ming is too terrifying. I must spread the news to the angel race, to the celestial race. The first-level divine lord of the angel race fled while using the illusory divine jade to spread the news. Heaven sundering style kill. Lu Ming coldly roared as he transformed into a spear. At the same time, he erupted with origin energy. Originally, Lu Ming didn't need to use origin energy to deal with trash like this, but in order to kill this person as quickly as possible, he had no choice. Lu Ming couldn't allow the angel race to spread the news. Although he would take his family and friends with him, including those he was close with, he would take them with him. However, there were still some people who would stay behind. For example, the Lu family Jingma, Kong Shixue, and the others would stay behind. If the celestial race found out about this, they would definitely unleash their wrath and turn the Taishu dynasty into a purgatory. From the fate of the elf race, one could see that the celestial race would never show mercy to other races. The heaven sundering style had the advantage of the greater extreme light art. His speed instantly increased, and he shot forward like an aurora, instantly catching up to the first-level divine lord of the angel race. Before the angel race could use the illusory divine jade to spread the news, Lu Ming's spear pierced through his body, and the terrifying energy reduced his body to ashes. With a wave of his hand, he put away the angel race's storage ring. Lu Ming took a step forward and returned to the Great Void Sacred Capital, where Blue Merchant and the others were waiting. Chapter 45-34. As soon as Lu Ming returned to Blue Merchant and the others, the Battle God Spear flew back with a storage ring. Apparently, the Battle God Spear had killed the Blood Tribe's Divine Master. With a thought, the Battle God Spear turned into a ray of light and flew into Lu Ming's glabella, disappearing from sight. At this moment, Jingma, Kong Shixue, Blue Merchant, Undying Demon King, Thousand Holy Heavenly King, Etian, and the others were completely dumbfounded. They stood there as if they had been petrified. Their eyes were fixed on Lu Ming. They thought they were dreaming. But this dream was too real, wasn't it? That terrifying aura, the aura that made the galaxy tremble, the aura that terrified them, it was too real. How could it be fake? How could it be a dream? Even if they were dreaming, they wouldn't dream of such a scene. That kind of power was beyond the limits of their imagination. But Lu Ming was too crazy, wasn't he? How could Lu Ming be so powerful? Monster and freak weren't enough to describe Lu Ming. Blue Merchant, Thousand Holy Heavenly King, are you ready? Let's go now. Lu Ming reminded them. Okay. Blue Merchant and the others finally snapped out of their daze. Lu. No, Hidden Dragon Heavenly King. I wonder if we can send more people to go with you? Kong Shixue said, looking nervously at Lu Ming. She seemed very reserved. Before she knew about Lu Ming's true combat strength, she could still get along with Lu Ming as an equal. After all, she was the mother of the new Great Void Saint Emperor, and Lu Ming was just a heavenly king. But now, when he faced Lu Ming, he could no longer maintain his composure. There was only fear and trepidation. She knew very well that given her status, she was nothing in front of Lu Ming. In the primitive universe, everything was based on the truth. With strength came status. With Lu Ming's cultivation and strength, it would be easy for him to create a force thousands of times stronger than the Taishu dynasty. Therefore, she was trembling with fear in front of Lu Ming. She was afraid that she would say something wrong and make Lu Ming unhappy. After saying that, she looked at Lu Ming nervously. Sure, as soon as possible. Lu Ming said. He wanted to return to the Heaven Destroyer's base as soon as possible. After all, when he first came out, he had sealed Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon. Now Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon should have been unsealed long ago. What would they do after they were unsealed? Would the water directly rush into the elven territory? It was very dangerous there. Lu Ming couldn't help but worry. And here, it was too far away from the base of the universe ruins. The voice-transmitting jade talisman couldn't reach that far. Lu Ming couldn't even inquire about the news. Okay, let's do it as soon as possible. Kong Shishua nodded repeatedly and immediately left with Jingma. In fact, after seeing Lu Ming's strength, even they themselves wanted to leave with Lu Ming. But after thinking about it, they still couldn't bear to leave the foundation here. In the end, they decided to send more people to cultivate with Lu Ming. Well, Lu Ming. No, senior, I was wrong before. I was blind and offended you. Please forgive me. You are a great man and don't hold grudges against me. Haha, Immortal Demon also came over. He actually admitted that he was a junior and put his posture very low in front of Lu Ming. In the universe, strength was the most important thing. In terms of strength, it wasn't wrong for him to call Lu Ming a senior. Of course, this also needed to be thick-skinned. Those who weren't thick-skinned really couldn't say it out loud. It's okay, but you'd better not think too much in the future. Let me tell you, I won't treat you badly if you follow me, Lu Ming said lightly. Don't worry, young Master Ming. In the future, I will follow your lead and be at your beck and call. Immortal Demon swore. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. Why didn't he realize that this old guy was so thick-skinned before? This, Blue Merchant and Heavenly King Qiansheng hesitated on the side. After seeing Lu Ming's true strength, they also became a little cautious in front of Lu Ming. They were all smart people. After seeing Lu Ming's strength, they could guess that Lu Ming was probably the strongest existence in the universe. The gap between them was too big. Lan Shu, Heavenly King Qiansheng, you have been very kind to me. You don't have to be so cautious. I am still the same person as before, Lu Ming said. Hearing Lu Ming's words, Blue Merchant and Heavenly King Qiansheng heaved a sigh of relief. Otherwise, they wouldn't know how to face Lu Ming in the future. Immortal Demon was envious. If he had known that Lu Ming was so incredible, he would have clung to Lu Ming's leg when he saw Lu Ming back then. It's not too late now. I will definitely rely on this leg. I will break through to a higher level, the first Divine Emperor layer, the second Divine Emperor layer, and even the Divine Emperor layer. The Undying Demon King roared in his heart and warned himself. Given that he had lived for dozens of stellar years, he would not be so agitated. However, Lu Ming was simply too powerful. He was unbelievably powerful. He was so powerful that he found it difficult to remain calm. They didn't have to wait for too long. Jingma and Kong Shishua's people were ready. Let's go in. Lu Ming waved his hand and opened the ancient desolation ring. A huge vortex appeared in the heavenly palace. Blue Merchant, Heavenly King Qiansheng and the others flew into the vortex. Needless to say, they were astonished when they entered the ancient desolation ring, but Lu Ming didn't care. Very quickly, everyone entered the ancient desolation ring. Everyone, see you later. Lu Ming cupped his fists to Kong Shishua and Jingma. Then he turned around and stepped out. The starry sky cracked automatically. He entered the space crack and disappeared. Only Jingma and Kong Shishua were left behind. They were in a daze. Lu Ming hurried on with all his strength. At the same time, he used the great imitation technique to change his appearance and life origin qi. He turned into a young man from the Angel clan. If he hurried on with his original appearance, he would most likely alarm the people of the Heavenly Palace. After all, he still had to use the wormhole to hurry on. Even though his current speed was very fast, it was still not as fast as using the wormhole. In this way, Lu Ming spent about half a month to return to the Heaven Destroyer's base in the ruins of the universe. After returning to the Heaven Destroyer's base, he immediately rushed to their residence. At their residence, Lu Ming didn't see Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. He only saw Wan Shun, Dandan and Bubbles. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon really went to find him? Wan Shun, Dandan, Bubbles, Xiaoqing and Autumn Moon, where did you go? Lu Ming quickly asked. They're fine. Lu Ming, it's great that you're fine. There are rumors in the Heavenly Palace that you're dead. Wan Shun said. That's right. So the people of the Heavenly Palace were bullshitting. I knew it. How could Lu Ming be dead? Do you think it's that easy to follow me? Dandan shouted. As for Bubbles, she hung on Lu Ming's body. Chapter 45-35. Big Brother Lu Ming, I'm so glad that you're fine. Bubbles hung onto Lu Ming's body, wiping her snot and tears on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming was stunned. Could it be that the Heavenly Palace announced to the public that he had already fallen? That was also possible. After all, when the ancestral land of the elves was destroyed, he rushed into the space crack. There was a high possibility that he would be turned into ashes under the destructive power of the crack. However, it might not be deliberately spread by the Heavenly Palace. After all, there were many people in the Heavenly Palace who saw him rushing into the crack. It was possible that some people made wild guesses and spread it. Of course I'll be fine. By the way, where are Xiaoqing and Autumn Moon? Lu Ming asked again. Back then, you sealed Miss Xie and Miss Autumn Moon and left alone. After the seal was removed, they were very angry and wanted to go to the elves to find you. We couldn't stop them. Fortunately, Senior Fei Huang came back at that time and stopped them. During this time, Miss Xie and Miss Autumn Moon have been at Senior Fei Huang's residence. Pantheon said. Then I'll go see them now. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, you have to be mentally prepared. I heard that they are still very angry. Dandan said. By the way, about the news of my death, do they know? Lu Ming asked. They don't know. We didn't dare to tell them. Dandan said. That's good. I have a way to deal with them. Let's go. Lu Ming smiled. Soon, they arrived at Fei Huang's residence and saw Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon. Lu Ming. Young master. When they saw Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon were surprised. However, they soon thought of something, and their faces darkened. Haha, Xiaoqing, Mid-Autumn Moon, I'm back. I haven't seen you for a while. I really missed you. Lu Ming said shamelessly. You want to kill us? Lu Ming, in order to save your little fairy lover, you even sacrificed your own life and sealed us. Good, very good. Xian Yanqing sneered, his face cold. As for Autumn Moon, she pouted and looked at Lu Ming with hatred. Autumn Moon has been led astray by Xiaoqing. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. Even the gentle and lovely Autumn Moon treated him like this. Lu Ming was very sad. Of course, this also proved that Autumn Moon was really angry. Haha, little Qing. What are you saying? After all, the elf race is implicated by me. I can't just ignore it. Lu Ming laughed, trying to bluff his way out. Don't try to bluff your way out. Today, you have to give us an explanation. That's right. Young master, you have to give us an explanation. I didn't expect that you would attack us. Autumn Moon is really sad. The two girls didn't give in and pressed on. Wan Shun, Dandan, and Bubbles looked down and pretended not to see anything. Especially Dandan, who smiled from time to time. She looked like she was waiting to see how he would deal with it. Lu Ming, tell me, how do you want an explanation? Xian Yanqing stepped forward. Xiaoqing, Autumn Moon, look who I brought. Lu Ming finally used his trump card. That was the diversion of attention. He waved his hand, and a few people appeared in front of Lu Ming. Lu Yintian, Li Ping, Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, and the others. Master, madam. Seeing Lu Yintian and Li Ping, Autumn Moon was pleasantly surprised. Autumn Moon, my child, I finally meet you. Li Ping teared up when she saw Autumn Moon. Madam. Qiu Yu dashed into Li Ping's arms, tears streaming down her face. She had long forgotten about Lu Ming. Meanwhile, Xian Yanqing's attention was completely attracted by Lu Shenhuang and the others. Shenhuang. Xian Yanqing looked at Lu Shenhuang. Her eyes filled with longing and love. Mom. Lu Shenhuang hurried over. Mom. Lu Shenhuang's wife also went over and called out. Grandma, long time no see. I miss you so much. Lu Qi dashed over and grabbed Xian Yanqing's arm, refusing to let go. Qi, I haven't seen you for a while. Your cultivation has almost caught up to your father. Xian Yanqing's cold face had already melted into a smile. He patted Lu Qi's head affectionately. As for Lu Ming's matter, he had already put it aside. Wan Shun, Dandan, and Bubbles were dumbfounded. How did this work? Lu Ming, you're awesome. Wan Shun gave him a thumbs up. Lu Ming, you're despicable and shameless. Bah, you're smart and powerful. You already have some of my style. Dandan whispered to Lu Ming. The reunion of family was joyous, and there seemed to be endless topics to talk about. Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon temporarily forgot about Lu Ming. The unhappiness in their hearts also disappeared. After quite a while, Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon finally remembered Lu Ming. They both glared at him and let it pass. Half a day later, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Yu, Dandan, Bubbles and the rest led Lu Yuntian and Li Ping to an open space. There were no living beings living in this place. The conditions for cultivation were also excellent. Heaven Destroyer's base was made up of continents. The foundation of these continents was actually the primeval continent. After being modified by reciprocity experts, the cultivation environment here was extremely good. There were also various places for training. Even if it couldn't compare to the primeval ring, it wasn't bad either. It was 100 times better than the Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming planned to put the people of the Taishu dynasty, the Lu family, Hua Qi, and the others here. He didn't plan to let them stay in the primeval ring forever. Although the cultivation environment in the primeval ring was definitely the best for those below the Divine Lord realm, it was much better than here. However, Lu Ming would always carry the primeval ring with him. He would go out adventuring and traveling. Moreover, the heavenly human race would always be watching him. He might run into danger at any time. What if he was captured by the heavenly human race like last time? His family and friends would be in great danger if they followed him. Only when his cultivation was high enough, and he no longer feared any danger, would he put his family and friends in the primeval ring. He naturally wouldn't give a treasure like the primeval ring to others. He had to carry it with him at all times. Of course, this was also because his past and future selves weren't present. If they were, one of them could carry the primeval ring and stay in the Heaven Destroyer's base. That wouldn't be bad. But now this was all he could do. With a wave of his hand, a huge vortex appeared in the air. Lu Ming's consciousness appeared in the primeval ring and communicated with everyone. After a while, a large number of people flew out. They were the Undying Demon King, Blue Merchant, Thousand Holy Old Heavenly King, and the people of the Lu family. After they came out, they were reluctant to leave. Cultivating in the primeval ring was just too good. In such a short time, some of them even broke through. However, Lu Ming had explained it before, so they could only come out. Moreover, the cultivation conditions here weren't bad either. Immediately, everyone began to make arrangements in an orderly manner. Peak. Chapter 45-36. After seeing that the Taishu dynasty, the Lu family, Hua Qi, and the others had arranged everything in an orderly manner, Lu Ming left the place alone and went to ask Fei Huang for a treasure. Then he came to another place with no one around. The Heaven Destroyer's base was made up of dozens of continents. Moreover, the area of each continent was extremely large. Some large continents were far larger than those planets with life. They could accommodate countless living beings. Moreover, there was more than one Heaven Destroyer's base. It was said that there were several other bases of Heaven Destroyer in the depths of the universe ruins. It was just that Lu Ming had never been there before. Therefore, the Heaven Destroyer's base could be considered vast and sparsely populated. It was simply too easy to accommodate the creatures that Lu Ming had brought with him. Moreover, there was a reason why Lu Ming chose this place. This was because Fei Huang and the other experts had gone to rescue the elves and rescued a portion of them. Those elves lived in this area. Lu Ming stood in the sky and looked into the distance. He could see a dense forest in front of him. There were some wooden houses built in the forest, and from time to time, figures would flash by. With Lu Ming's eyesight, he could naturally see clearly that those were all elves. Of course, this forest couldn't be compared to the elf palace. The difference was too great. The elf palace had countless incomparably huge elven ancient trees. Those ancient trees were thousands or even tens of thousands of miles tall. They covered the sky and produced endless wood essence. They would also produce a large number of elven wood hearts, which were very helpful to the cultivation of the elves. However, the forest in front of him was just an ordinary tree. It was worlds apart from the elven ancient trees. After Lu Ming communicated with Ling Yue with his spiritual sense, he opened the door of the great desolate ring, and a huge vortex appeared in the air. Ling Yue was the first to fly out. Soon after, the other elves also flew out. There weren't many of them. Some of them were the people that had been saved on that island, while the others were the elven geniuses in the elven ancestral land. When these elves came out and saw Lu Ming, they all glared at him angrily. Lu Ming was expressionless and pretended not to see it. Yue, our clansmen live in the forest ahead. In the future, we shall live in this region. Lu Ming said. Yes. Ling Yue nodded. At this moment, the other elves also discovered the forest and immediately revealed expressions of joy. Now the elf race was almost completely annihilated. They originally thought that they might be the only ones who survived. Now that they saw other elves, they were naturally ecstatic. They immediately flew towards the forest. When they approached the forest, they were immediately discovered by the elves in the forest. The elves in the forest immediately flew out. Immediately, numerous figures appeared in the sky above the forest. About 50 million people. Lu Ming thought. His spirit sense swept out and enveloped the entire forest, roughly estimating the number of elves living in the forest. 50 million people might seem like a lot, but it was actually very little. One had to know that in the past, the elf race had occupied a large number of star regions. The elf race had thrived for countless years, giving birth to countless members of their race. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to describe it as trillions. 50 million people, compared to the past, was really a drop in the ocean. Moreover, many of these 50 million elves had ordinary knowledge. Their cultivation was very low, and they couldn't even fly in the air. Only about 1 million could fly in the sky above the forest. Compared to the previous base of the elf race, it was really too little. Moreover, Lu Ming didn't find a single divine master. The strongest was only at the 9th level of the divine god realm. It seemed that the divine master of the elf race was targeted by the heavenly palace at the first moment, and sent experts to hunt them down. Therefore none of them escaped. When Fei Huang and the others received the news and rushed over, it was already too late. The experts of the elf race were either killed or captured. Not only were the elites killed, but even the ordinary elves were also killed. As for the rest, most of them were captured by the heavenly palace as slaves. Therefore, even with Fei Huang and the others' abilities, they could only bring out 50 million elves. Princess, it's the princess. The princess is fine. That's great, that's great. The heavens have blessed us. In the sky above the forest, the elves were overjoyed when they saw Ling Yue. They quickly flew over and bowed to Ling Yue. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. There's no need to be so polite. Ling Yue hurriedly said. Princess, I heard that the elf ancestral land was surrounded and a great battle broke out behind it. The elf ancestral land collapsed. How did we escape? Someone asked. We've heard about the elf ancestral land. What happened after the great battle in the elf ancestral land? Ling Yue was not in a hurry to answer. I heard that the evil spirit lord of the ancestral land has appeared and fought with the people of the heavenly palace. The battle destroyed the heavens and the earth, and even the ancestral land was destroyed. Later on, more experts from the heavenly palace came, and I heard that they suppressed the evil spirit lord. This person used to be an elder of the elf race, and had a cultivation of the 9th level of the divine lord realm. Before Ling Yue came, he had the highest status in the elf race. The reason why we were able to escape was all thanks to Lu Ming risking his life to save us. At this time Ling Yue pointed at Lu Ming and said, "What? Lu Ming? It's him, it's Lu Ming. It's all his fault. It's all because of him that the heavenly palace attacked us elves. It's all his fault." Many of the elves roared as they stared at Lu Ming hatefully. Everyone back then, Lu Ming changed his name to Mu Yin unintentionally. He also felt very guilty, and if he hadn't risked his life to save us, we would have died at the hands of the elves. Ling Yue hurriedly explained. The knot in her heart towards Lu Ming had already been untied. Her heart was naturally on Lu Ming's side, and she wanted to resolve the grudge between Lu Ming and the elves. "Princess, don't be fooled by him. That's right. If it wasn't for him, how could our clan be like this? How could His Majesty have died in battle?" The elves naturally wouldn't forgive Lu Ming so easily. They were still glaring at Lu Ming. Sigh. Ling Yue sighed in her heart. Then, with a thought, a jade bottle appeared in her hand. Opening the jade bottle, an incomparably exuberant life essence spread out, attracting the attention of every elf. All the elves looked at the jade bottle, revealing looks of doubt and shock. This aura. Why does it look so much like the holy tree seed? Really, I feel like it too. However, that holy tree seed was successfully nurtured by us and turned into the elven holy tree. Later on, it was cut off by the celestial race. How could another holy tree seed appear here? A few Divine Lord Realm elves discussed animatedly. They were all in the Divine Lord Realm, and could be considered the upper echelons of the elf clan. Naturally, they knew a lot of things. The holy tree seed that Lu Ming had brought out had been successfully nurtured, and turned into the elven holy tree. Although it hadn't grown into a big tree yet, it was only a matter of time. However, when the heavenly palace attacked, it was cut off. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.